Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Watching the world's best compete is an absolute pleasure here in WA. Sophie McCulloch checking into the Red Bull Athlete Zone. Tyler Wright, two-time world champ, past event champ, checking out the space in the locker room as Katie Simmers has had a nice warm-up right out front, and Lakey Peterson already getting the high fives from her support crew from Channel Island Surfboards. And Brisa Hennessy with her coach this year, Leandro Dora, preparing for the round of 16. We got 3 heats completed yesterday, then things went on hold. It's a nice sunny afternoon, about 83 degrees Fahrenheit, 28 degrees Celsius, with about a little breeze, 7 miles an hour out of the north. What a great day to be in WA. Joe Turpel with local legend Felicity Palmatier. Flick, things are looking pretty exciting to watch some pro surfing once again.
Yeah, things are looking exciting. There's a few little waves starting to trickle through the lineup. It's a beautiful sunny day, like you said. I actually looked, it just clicked up to 30 degrees here, which it's stinking hot. Whew. Beautiful day. Rock pools look glorious. And a little bit of surf on the way.
Gosh, what more could you ask for? Let's get the official word on the round of 16. Stace Galbraith is with our commissioner, Jessie Miley-Dyer.
Thank you, Joe. Hey, Jessie, how you doing?
Good, thanks. It's a nice day and sun shining.
That's one positive. Location change today. Talk us through it.
Yeah, so we're at Southside. We're going to be running these 5 heats of that women's round, the remaining of what we had from yesterday. We're not going to go any further, but we are here at Southside, and you know, we haven't been here for a while. It is a part of our permit, and as a part of it, we've actually left main break here for all the locals who want to come down and surf. But we're going to be at Southside, and yeah, it's actually looking, you know, it's kind of counterintuitive a little bit, because you know, when you think of Margaret River, you don't kind of think of Southside. But we had a few conversations with our surfers yesterday, particularly as we were, you know, in that heat that was so slow, and we all had this conversation that we need to start looking to the left, which is over there, and it's a bit bigger today and it's a bit cleaner than main break. So we're going to get through these 5 heats, and you know, I think it's definitely probably more opportunity than what we had yesterday. Absolutely.
Yeah, it's certainly been that way in the warm-up. Thanks, Jess. Thank you, Joe.
Good man, Stace, and thank you to our commissioner's office and Jessie Miley-Dyer, moving the event just around the corner. We don't have to move anything. The judges can stay put. It's main breaks here. Southside's right next to it, and it's been very consistent, kind of always when we're here having competition at main break. You're always looking around the corner. Typically the locals are getting some reps in at Southside. Now it's flipped, and they'll have main break to themselves. As we've already heard the horn sound, 35 minutes, scored on their top 2. Brisa Hennessy taking on Lakey Peterson. Talking about the major differences in the wave compared to main break. What are we looking at Southside, Flick?
Yeah, Southside's is obviously a different wave. If you cast your eyes just down to the south, it's part of the same reef that actually makes up the main break reef. It's just a little bit further south, and the way that the wave faces, it actually faces more south, which means it actually picks up a little bit more swell. Generally, if anyone's come down here to watch the event and there has been a lot of swell on hand, you know, main break might be, you know, 8-10 foot, and you cast your eyes over to Southsides and it'll have an extra couple of feet always. Yeah, it's a different wave. What we're going to see is, I think we're going to see a lot of lefts, especially at this size when it's small. I mean, we can see one kind of going through the lineup right now, but yeah, at this size, Southsides is really a left. You're going to probably get multiple maneuvers on a wave, anywhere from 2 to 3 maneuvers, maybe even 4. There is a right, it's a peak, but in my eyes, I don't know how many rights we'll see surf today. It kind of runs out into a big deep channel and goes, you know, for lack of a better word, fat quite quickly. So I think we're going to see a lot of opportunity on these lefts, and from what I was seeing in the warm-up surf, the women were looking good.
Gets pretty shallow on the left. Solid backhand attack. She's used it to a lot of heat victories in her career. This one with a lot of importance for Lakey. If she wins this matchup over Brisa, she will make the midseason cut.
Whoa, it's just, there's so many great scenarios coming up, and I mean, this is one right here. And Lakey just getting the ball rolling really quickly in this heat. I think there's a bit more consistency at Southsides too. I mean, there's a couple of waves still coming through every now and then at main break. And we'll break down this first one of Lakey. So on the backhand, going left, nice carve there, goes up into the lip for that second turn, and it's another little tap there on the inside, but you can really see it here, just what Joe, you were talking about just how shallow it does get on the inside section here. Yeah, if you take this wave right on through to the inside, you're pretty much going to end up dry docking, much like what you do on the right at main break. So yeah, it's very shallow, and positioning out here, I mean, it's going to be interesting. I wonder how much time these women have really surfed out here or spent out here, if any. Maybe this morning might have been some of these women's first, warm-up surf or first surf out here. So probably just feeling out the lineup a little bit themselves. And there's one specific little takeoff zone for Southsides, and if you're kind of not on that bubble, it's very easy to miss the waves. And you can see there just on the inside, there's beautiful little lagoon. The paddle out's little keyhole is just to the left of that lagoon, as we see, looks like Brisa.
Brisa Hennessy opening ride. Snap to start, down to the bottom. Nice connection with the closeout. Two-turn combination, nice and clean, as she will be compared to Lakey's start. Peterson already locking in a 4.0.
Yeah, so definitely different to Lakey's wave. Obviously, Brisa's offered that last section there, closeout section, two-turn combo. It was a slightly bigger wave too. So it's going to be interesting to see where the judges go right now, because we're going to get a good idea of where they're at with their judging and what they're looking for.
Brisa's made a CT win back at Sunset Beach in 2022 as we take another look.
Yeah, this wave here was a bit bigger than Lakey's, and this is what I was talking about. Offered that last section there. She was able to go a bit more vertical up into the lip and get that finish. Placed that first turn really well and comes around here and goes straight up into the lip here on her backhand. I think another important point is a lot of these women would have been going right all week and warming up for main break and warming up for the Wrights. So it's pretty interesting. We've obviously switched to Southsides this afternoon, and yeah, they're on the backhand.
Always good to go into a little more detail when we think about this wave. Well, watch this. Rolling in with a whitewater is Lakey Peterson. Set up work there on this cornering left. Second move through the foam. Fits in a third maneuver.
Oof.
Still pushing her way to show the judges she had control. Now Brisa right in front of Peterson will kick out and look to regain priority. So opening exchange, a 4 from Lakey to a 5, 6, 7 for Hennessy. As we'll take a chance to really get to know this part of the world in the Southwest. Yes, Flick is biased because this is her home, but I second her in saying it's got to be one of the most gorgeous places in the world. But how does this all work, Flick?
Yeah, so basically we have these big roaring 40s which produce a lot of swell, a lot of wind, and that's where predominantly all our swell comes and hits this Margaret River region, as we're zooming in down now to the southwest of Western Australia. And you can see main break there on the bottom of the screen. And main break is actually the same reef as Southsides. Southsides is actually just a little bit further south, so a little bit further down on the bottom of the screen there. And you can obviously see the beautiful Margaret River as well. And right there, that's that continental shelf. So it's gets pretty deep out there, and that's why we get this. That's why it is so powerful here, and that's why people do draw that comparison to Hawaii. There's so many different beaches, so many different nooks and crannies, and right now you're just seeing how exposed main break is, and Southsides, like I was mentioning before, it actually faces a little bit more to the south, which means that the swell doesn't have to wrap as much to get into Southsides, which is why we're actually seeing more consistency here today than what we are at main break.
You can see how those swells can just load up through the roaring 40s in an unobstructed channel right to this corner of West Oz. Typically seeing a lot of big surf. If it's this small, there's not much action anywhere really, because this sucks in so much swell. Late takeoff for Lakey. Gets up there for a backside snap. Will roll back in. Nice patience for that snap to slide over the whitewater. Throws a little bit more on the inside corner, and it's a battle of the backends right now for these two regular footers. Brisa representing Costa Rica, Lakey representing California and the USA. Lakey's 4, then a 3-5. Brisa 5, 6, 7, both getting 2 more numbers in. as we are getting started this afternoon. So much on the line for a lot of these heats in the round of 16. We got to catch up with Kaipo Guerrero, all set up in the water. Totally different day now. Looking at a venue change, Kipes.
Yeah, the venue change here, Southside. I've been getting to know this wave in the last week or so because most of us civilians, we've been surfing out here at Southside while the folks has been on main break. So this wave right here, deep channel, you guys talked about it. Likely all the surfers are going to be going left where there's a longer wall rather than the cutback city here on the right. We got a northwest wind blowing through, so there is a little chop that you're surfing into. And another thing I found on this south side left is you kind of want to be a little bit deeper. I mean, I feel the surfers can be deeper on this left and take off a little bit behind the peak and get an extra turn in, because it really doesn't feel like super fast. So there's a pace to this wave, and I think if you get behind it, you're going to allow yourself for a little, for another maneuver. And then always you got to kind of be aware on the inside here. It gets like super shallow. It's a flat reef, but super shallow on the inside.
Good man, Kaipo, joining us for the call in the water, and he actually just got out of the water himself from a surf that he had at this venue at Southside. So breaking down the lefts that we've been seeing from Brisa and Lakey. Hennessy putting this one into her top two.
Yeah, this is Brisa's last wave. Gets up into the lip there. The wave gets a little bit slower here, but just a ton of two-turn combo. And this was Lakey's last wave, so a bit of a late takeoff there. She gets a little bit hung up the top here, but this second turn I really liked it. She timed it really well. Gets a release on the fins, and that's all she wrote there for Lakey. But yeah, that last wave of Lakey obviously going into her top two.
Lakey Peterson, wave number 3, 5.17. So now throwing away the 3.5. Hasn't caught up to Brisa's best number yet, the 5.67 she opened up with. And last of Hennessy, a 3.3. Still close, Lakey out front. Hennessy just needing a 3.5 for the win. These two surfers come into this matchup even. 2 wins apiece in one-on-one heats at the championship tour level. Lakey's wins coming in Rio de Janeiro back in 2022. Lakey also beat Brisa at Pipeline last season. And then more recently, Brisa getting the jump on Lakey at Bells at stop number 4 this year. Also got her in Tahiti last year in the quarterfinals. So this one will settle it for the time being. But Lakey's been surfing lefts a lot lately. Actually, in Portugal, her coach, Glenn Micro Hall, found a little left-hand sandbar that would show up at a certain tide. He surfed it by himself completely. And then next few days, it was all about Lakey and Lakey's husband, Thomas. So she did about 1,000 backside snaps to the waves, similar size of this. I feel like her backside attack is really warmed up for this event today.
Definitely. Here we go, Brisa, late takeoff.
Brisa rolling in here, and not much on the first section, just resetting. More of a lip to crush there and really put a lot into it. Always thinking as a competitor, knowing she didn't have anything on that first section, she'll put a lot into the finishing move.
Yeah, you can really see, just to talk about what Kaipo was talking about, was the northerly right now. It's blowing into the face of this wave here, and you can see that it's making it quite hard. There's a bit of texture on the face of the wave here. This last turn here, this was really strong. It was really powerful. She, just like you said, Joe, knew she only had this last section here really to score some serious points. She puts it all on the line. So that was really, really well done. Super critical. And that wave too, the one she picked off, sort of had a bit more of a wedge to it. You could kind of see that the wave was peeling back on itself a little bit. And she's kind of done a good job at finding that. Her first wave was very similar looking as well, whereas Lakey's ones have just run off a little bit. They've had a bit more of a tapered edge. Brisa's sort of managed to find those ones that are giving her that closeout section.
Great breakdown flick as we're always breaking down the live rankings. Stop 5 has the cut as we look at the shaded names knocked out of the event, and unfortunately for Alyssa, Bella, and Luana Silva, back to the Challenger Series. You see where Lakey's going. She's in number 9 at the moment, so if she wins this heat, she'll officially make the cut. A big heat for Peterson, who was under the pressure of the cut last season as well. With priority, Carissa repositioned, got underneath her, got barreled at main break, and there was quite a Long time where Lakey was thinking that might have been it. When the math was all settled, she saved her spot just to make the cut. This year, she's feeling a little bit more confident inside that top 10, but Brisa's just taking the lead.
Yeah, that last score from Brisa, 6.1, really strong. Obviously, judges really rewarding that last turn and just really critical.
Let's now hear from one of the great coaches, a past champion here as well. Tommy Whitaker's with Stace.
Thanks, Joe. Tommy, always nice to be second heat of the day with a location change.
It is. You get to sort of watch where the judging's at and, you know, keeping a close eye on that, and excited to see some backside shredding, I think.
You're pretty familiar with this wave?
Yeah, it's a bit of a funny one amongst the boys that I actually won the event on Southside. It was actually a lot smaller than this, so it's classic.
And you must be happy with how Katie has performed so far this year. She's coming up in the next heat, just looking to keep that momentum rolling.
Yeah, without a doubt, that's the goal. A lot of learnings last year, and this year feels a lot more settled, competing against the girls, you know. And she's super excited to go backside. There's not a lot left on tour, so it's going to be good to see people go left.
Indeed. I'll let you guys get warmed up. Thanks, Tommy.
Awesome, Stace. Tommy Whitaker winning this event in 2008. And that finals day was at Southside. I didn't realize it was even smaller than this. But yeah, Tommy was such a strong competitor. He was one of those guys that loved being in the QSs, even when he was already on the championship tour, loved the energy of competition. And it was such an easy transition to be a coach once he called it quits in the competitive arena.
Yeah, one thing that's interesting too, just some memories came flooding back in. You know, this event used to be a qualifying series event for so many years, and I've actually had memories of surfing out at Southsides myself in the contest. Actually, a heat I have from memory is with Jessie Miley-Dyer, pretty funny. It was actually quite big, but they used to run the women out at Southsides and the men at main break, or switch it up. And yeah, but like Tommy Whitaker said, it's just Southsides picks up so much swell, and you can surf it smaller than this.
So cool. Looking back at the memories with you too, double areas. Did it run at the same time, men and women, or was it just different days?
That's a bit blurry in the memory, but I feel like, I don't know if that would have been possible. We might have to do some digging there, do some homework.
Well, people talk about it all the time when we're running at the box, those special moments when the event has gone to the slab across the bay. Main break's usually firing at the same time. Going, you could get a lot done competitively if you had double the judges to watch both venues. You could even throw more action at Southside. You could do like a junior event, main event, all at the same time.
So many possibilities, so many waves.
A lot of good surfing to watch. 1950 on the clock here. 610 for last to Brisa Hennessy. Open with a 5.67. She's the daughter of a professional fisherman who absolutely loves WA. I don't think her dad Mike has missed a trip to the West. He's feeding a lot of people. He's got a lot of local friends. And so Brisa and her mom, Katie, they're incredible when it comes to being chefs, and from desserts to dinners. They usually invite a lot of people over, like Lakey has been to a few of those dinners, and everyone's just so happy that they're being served so well. When you got a pro fisherman as a dad, you're eating pretty good.
Oh yeah, for sure. Sashimi for days.
Rolling into this one, Lakey Peterson winding up and throwing some water on the first turn and throwing down the snap to finish. We talked about food with Hennessy, and food's a big part of Peterson's life. Her grandfather, Herb, invented the Egg McMuffin. Before, that McDonald's didn't open till 11 a.m. and then her grandfather changed that. They were able to open early, made the breakfast menu. When she was a kid and in NSSA, she'd bring down like 100 Egg McMuffins and share them with everybody on the beach.
So good. Such a claim. This is Lakey's last wave, and quick two-turn combo there. She was super late to that second turn. So it'll be interesting to see where the judges go with this. In my opinion, maybe similar, maybe not quite as strong as Brisa's wave, but Lakey managing to find one where she can get that closeout turn on it.
18 on the clock. Lakey, if she wins this heat, she officially makes the cut. Something on the line in every matchup today. Sophie McCulloch finds herself in a must-win situation as she prepares for world number 1. Katie Simmers coming up next.
The Western Australia Margaret River Pro is brought to you by Tourism Western Australia, official tourism partner of the Western Australia Margaret River Pro. By Bonsoy, the official milk of the World Surf League. By Rusty, official apparel of the Western Australia Margaret River Pro. And by Shiseido, official sunscreen partner of the World Surf League.
Round of 16, heat number 4 on after stopping things yesterday. After several restarts in competition, the commissioner's office looked more towards today to run some heats. It was a later call as they check everything with the Surfline forecast, the local knowledge of legends like Mike McCulloch, and they called it on this afternoon. Brisa Hennessy getting active during the break flick.
Yeah, nice little snap there into a little bit of a lip line floater. Does she ride out of it? She does. So another 2-turn combo for Brisa here. That first one, more of a setup maneuver. And nice little bit of variety there. That was two pretty nicely timed turns. She's doing a good job at finding those ones that are really wedgy and able to really place that board right in the pocket.
It's fun to see a little battle of the backends, you know, especially for the natural footers on tour. Often so focused on their forehand attack at a lot of the venues, and even this venue, typically in main break. So what a switch here. Now relying on your small wave act in these south side conditions, waiting on scores from Brisa. Lakey with priority, seeing if she'll need more than her 6.6. A lot of great athletic stories in Lakey's family. Go straight to her mom, Sue, who held the 50-yard freestyle American record from 1978 to 1980 as an All-American at USC. She's in the 1980 Guinness Book of World Records. Had a fast pace, 4.42 miles per hour and a 25-yard pull, the standard size for NCAA meets. I think that book is still, you know, up there on a shelf in the Peterson home.
A lot of cool facts from the Peterson family. Very good. Egg McMuffin one takes the cake in my opinion now.
How cool is that? American heroes.
Oh, so good.
Head-to-head history, though, is always a fun one to try to find rivalries on tour, especially when you've been watching Hennessy and Peterson compete for a long time on the main stage. They don't run into each other every event, so this is just their 5th meeting in one-on-one heats. This one will break the tie.
Yeah, this is going to break the tie, and it's such an important heat. Obviously, we know Brisa has already made the cut, but Lakey needs to advance out of this heat to officially make the cut. And I mean, right now she's kind of chasing a bigger number with that second to last wave that Brisa caught. But yeah, very evenly matched right now, and this is going to be the tiebreaker. And I like what you said before, Joe. It's really good to see these women on their backhand, on a left. I mean, we heard Tommy Whitaker talk about it too, but don't get to go left that often. And it's just really cool to see. I mean, you've got to think, even this whole week, the women wouldn't have been looking at too many lefts. I'm sure in the free surf, you catch one or two, but the main focus has been the right at main break. So I know a couple of the women have been going to Gracetown and around the back there, surfing a few left-handers that are pretty popular around here. But yeah, it's just interesting because they're going to have to switch, they're going to have to adapt, and yeah, it's a different style of surfing here.
Yeah, I don't know if any other sport can use the word adapt more than surfing can. Just knowing how even if it doesn't move venue-wise, the swell can change, the wind can change, the tide can change. There's so many elements you're dealing with Mother Nature. But then when the venue changes and you've been warming up your forehand, then you got to go left on some 2 to 3 footers. It's a whole different way to just prepare yourself on the fly. I think it's one of the hardest sports in the world to stay on the top end of it. I mean, for women, being in the top 10 to make the cut, that's impressive. And then taking the final 5 out of that to compete for a world title in September, something Brees has felt already in her career in that new format, as they are paddling out to try to get some open face here, and that one's gonna roll right over him, Flick.
Yeah, as that wave was breaking, you can actually see that boil just up atop of Breesa right now, but those boils right there, you need to be sitting pretty much just on them, and you can just see the girls getting caught here. But Southsides is a wave like main break where it doesn't matter how far you're at you sit, there'll always be one that'll just break that little bit further out. And right now we're just seeing the women just get a little bit caught, but you can see the boils in the face of the wave right now. You want to be sitting basically right on them. That is the takeoff zone. But they're really shallow too, and on the lower tide, you can actually, it gets low enough, you can actually almost get off your board and touch it with your feet. It does get really shallow on a couple of those boils.
Scores in from the last exchange. Breesa 6.83 to go with her 6.10. So Lakey now needs a 7.76 to move on. And it's really looking like Breesa's just identifying sections that are almost closing out to show the judges she can hit a hard section that's critical with a lot of power. You almost don't want those ones that are tapering off, and it's funny how a closeout could actually help your score much better on a day like today.
Yeah, definitely. That's the biggest takeaway straight away from me for this heat, is that, yeah, Lakey's just had those ones that have been a bit more tapered. They haven't offered that exclamation point for the judges. As we see Lakey
fighting for the 7.76, throws one turn and has to step off. Next wave, Breesa will look behind and actually hold her position with this lead. So Lakey now almost needing an excellent number to guarantee a win and make sure she's surfing the rest of the season. Kaipo, this is getting a bit intense now as we pass the 10-minute mark.
Yeah, it is pretty tense out here. And, a lot of the line, as in every heat in this round. But, Joe, I got one of the best ski drivers in the West, Paul Ant-Man Peterson, as well as a local legend. And Ant-Man knows all of these reefs like the back of his hand. And he was pointing out to me a series of ledges that are out here at Southside at this size that you're able. We saw the women kind of get caught a little bit inside on that set that rolls through. That one broke on the ledge. Now, if you're able to get one of those waves that breaks on the ledge, you're going to have, again, an extra section to hit, and that one wave, actually 2 waves come through. There was that opening section and then a nice tapered wall after that. So I think if you can get on one of those are going to be a game changer in a heat.
Thank you, Kaipo. Great breakdown and great information from Ant-Man, one of the biggest names in the West and also globally, big wave charger, and I think he's kind of the main guy that encouraged Felicity Palmatier to surf some giant waves.
Yeah, that's definitely true. He's definitely responsible for a lot of that mad woman behavior.
What was that phone call like?
Oh, yeah, this was back in, I think it was 2015. I took a year off tour and competing, and he was like, what are you doing? Why are you taking this year off? And basically said to me, you know what, I was living on the East Coast at the time, and he said, why don't you just fly back? The next swell that happens in WA, I'll tow you into a couple of waves at Cow, and you'll be right. And I was like, okay, cool. Like, yeah, keep me in the back of your mind. And a swell popped up on the forecast, and it was biggest swell in 10 years. And I was like, surely he's not going to message me about this. And next thing you know, I just heard my phone ringing, and it was him. And he's like, all right, are we going? And I was like, well, thought we'd maybe ease on into it. Didn't think we'd start off at 30 foot, but there we go.
I love that story. And look what you've done since. It's impressive. Backside snap for Lakey, just up and out. Still searching for a wave that could get her close to the X-zone range, and just watching Brisa let that one go. And just a little update too with Lakey's position. If she wins, she's guaranteed to make the cut. If she loses, she's still got a chance. So we'll just be focusing on the live rankings since she's just right above the cut line. But for her, she'd rather not leave it to chance and hope things fall her way.
Yeah, you want to be in control of your own destiny for sure in this situation. And right now it's looking pretty tricky because Brees is making some really smart moves right now. She's actually already done this twice. We saw it just then. A nice sort of set wave came through the lineup. She was in position. She actually decided not to go because basically she can hold on to priority. Lakey gets out the back and she gets to take a wave off Lakey. You know, I mean, she's probably looking at those waves thinking, is this going to be better, my 2.6s? She's got a 6.83 as her highest wave, and I feel like she's surfing super smart right now. And yeah, those last couple of decisions to me, yeah, she's just showing a lot of experience. And with 6.5 minutes on the clock, Lakey's going to have to be doing something pretty special to, I'm thinking probably what Kaipo said, you know, a bigger set wave on that ledge, on those bubbles, and it's sort of going to have to offer her maybe an extra section where she's getting 3 turns with that closeout finish.
Yeah, the closeout, when it gets nice and hollow inside and is super critical and you hit it with power and great timing, you can get a huge score. Brees has been doing that in this matchup. 6 minutes to go. Lakey rolls in, soft shouldering left. She'll wrap into the pocket. Throws down a backhand snap on the open face. Still one of these tapered lefts, which will drop her off on the inside. And you know, as a surfer, you're kind of looking for a wave that has a nice line on it. You can rip all the way through. It's funny, competitively, sometimes you're looking for the opposite, just a shorter ride that has a bit more of a meaty section to show the judges you've got power through the critical part of the wave. 5:30 to go.
Yeah, she's definitely going to have to start looking for different types of waves. That one just tapered out a lot. She had to get really horizontal from the beginning. And I mean, I just go to the judging criteria, you know, and you need to be critical on that first section. This wave just forced her to be horizontal from the very beginning. She gets that second turn there, that was looking a bit nicer, but yeah, and she knows it too. She knows that. She knows that, and she would have heard, and you know, that Brisa had gotten those 2.6s, and you know, it's a small day. You can see what your competitor's doing. She would have known probably that Brisa had got those scores for 2 turns. So I'm no doubt she's trying to sniff around, and she's trying to. I mean, she's trying. I mean, Brisa let her go. She's trying to force the situation, but Brisa's just being so smart right now, holding on to that priority.
Lakey Peterson still searching for that score. Last number, 4.4. A 2 before that, another 2 before that. So her last 3 attempts to take the lead haven't factored into her top 2. So she's going to try not to repeat herself now. A champion out here, though, in 2019, a significant one. It was the first time she beat Stephanie Gilmore in a one-on-one heat, and she also almost maxed out the score, a 9.8 for one of my favorite rides I've ever seen from Lakey Peterson at any venue, but especially at big main break. Always one to reflect on, great memories when you see your name on all the posters when you show up at an event. Lakey can have that positive memory. Could think about it now just to put the belief in herself that she can come back with 3:45 to go.
Definitely. I mean, a win out here is so strong, and a win out at main break is not an easy thing to do. It's a really, really tricky wave to figure out, and I think part of my favorite thing to do with that win is that, you know, Lakey was so open and vocal about the fact that she wasn't confident in waves of consequence and bigger, more powerful waves, and she was so honest about it, and she really went away and did some work with her coach at the time, Mike Parsons, and came back so strong, and to get a win at main break, which is a wave that she had struggled at for so long, you could just see how much that meant to her. I mean, I know she speaks about J-Bay, her most recent win, as one of her most special, but in my eyes, I feel like when you have that obstacle and sort of that big journey behind the win and the story, for me, I don't know, I think that's a really special win for Lakey out here at main break.
Yeah, it's cool, and he's working with the guys like Mike, who has places like Baja California wired down into Mexico. He's got skis, he's got knowledge of the big wave venues down there like Todos Santos, and they put in some time. Had an absolute ball as well. Mike loves flying, so Lake even started getting her pilot's license, and they turned into best friends. Now working with Glenn Micro Hall, as Mike's not traveling as much these days, but still invested in pro surfing as he's always watching heats. Right now, Lakey needs a 7.76. If she wins this heat, she makes the cut. If she doesn't win, it's not over. And we'll keep a close eye on her on the live rankings. Down to 2:10 on the clock. Lakey considers that one, lets it go. That was a good leave from Peterson. Looked pretty soft on the open face there.
Yeah, you can see that the angle of that wave, how it came into Southsides, it almost was just peeling out to sea a bit. Really got to try and find those ones with this scoop.
Brisa uses priority to keep Lakey off this one. First turn out of the way. Second one more solid than Brisa's really identified the good ones out there, the ones that provide a closeout section. And that's why she made sure that Lakey did not get that opportunity. Down to 90 seconds.
Yeah, it was a smart block. That wave, once again, she identified it, just had that really nice scoop to it, almost a wedge in a way where it was coming back at her. So Lakey forces Brisa to use her priority here. Nice snap in the first turn and really critical last turn there. So once again, just rinsing and repeating that same the same recipe, just two big belts on the backhand, and really wise to use priority there. I mean, Lakey's at the back now. She's got a minute on the clock. She does have priority, but just is the ocean going to cooperate for her?
55 seconds standing by for last of Brisa Hennessy, who's had 2 quarterfinal appearances at Margaret River in the past. So if she wins this heat, that'll be her personal best result in the making, with a chance to go further this season. And Lakey still looking at the horizon, hoping she has a chance. She's hoping that Tahiti this year, she could celebrate her 100th championship tour event appearance, this being her 99th. 22 seconds to go. Molly Picklum had the win in the previous heat before we called it off and got into the quarterfinals. So winner this heat meets up with Picklum as we roll in with Lakey. Last chance for a 7.76. Quick little snap there on the open face. Nice approach with the lip. Pushing hard into the white water to stay on her feet, trying to put up as many turns as she can. Remember, a 7.76 is the requirement, and it would have to be the best wave of the matchup.
Oh, in my opinion, I'm not seeing it, unfortunately, for Lakey. Just as the best wave of the heat, it just would have had to have been a little bit more special than that. And let's break it down here. She had to go. Last roll of the dice here. First turn, cuts it a little bit early, gets up into the lip for the second one, gets a little bit hung up there, gets another little foam climb. But yeah, unfortunately, I'm not seeing a 7.76 there for Lakey.
Lakey Peterson rolling into the inside. Remember, it's not over for Lakey as far as the midseason cut is concerned if she doesn't get the score. But it'll be a stressful time just watching the rest of the event and the live rankings. Doesn't come close on the decision. And Lakey Peterson out in the round of 16. Stay glued to the live rankings on worldsurfleague.com to see if Lakey will make the top 10 and continue on this season. Powerful heat for Brisa, looking really strong, really making no mistakes and identifying the scoring waves on a switch over to Southside, so really adapting quickly as she moves on to take on Molly Picklum. Katie Simmers, roll number 1, takes on Sophie McCulloch, who's in a must-win situation. We'll bring in Ronnie, Waxhead, and Rick for the call.
Margaret River is just a special zone. It has a different kind of energy. You feel it as soon as you enter the place. The town's buzzing. The surf, I think, is probably the big draw card.
Margaret River, it's one of the most amazing places in the world, and it's just the most extraordinary place to come.
The southwest of WA, we're living on a dream here. All the vineyards, the surf, the coastal, it's like no other place in the world.
Welcome back to the show. Heat 5, the round of 16 is going to get underway now, and it's going to be a good one. Caitlin Simmers will be taking on Sophie McCulloch, looking for a spot in the quarterfinals. Ronnie Blakey here with Richie Lovett and Matt Janoski, gentlemen. Big heats. We saw a heavy one there for Lakey Peterson, Rich. She is going to have a nervous wait watching the rest of this event play out.
Yeah, it's never a good position to be in when you're out of the competition and you're basically relying on the fortunes and misfortunes of other surfers to keep your spot on tour. I actually thought that she would have had an advantage out there on the backhand. Lakey's normally really strong on those little left-handers, but I just couldn't quite find the right ones.
Yeah, Bruce has been on a special run this year, though, Matt, looking incredibly sharp. That role continues now. Another final series for her.
Yeah, and really connected to her equipment, you know, growing into those surfboards, understanding where to place them on the wave. You can see a very mature surfer coming out of Brissa at the moment, and I look forward to seeing what she's got for the rest of the year.
Yeah, partial to a reef break on the backhand too, having spent a lot of her childhood over there in Fiji, tackling cloud break restaurants, Namotu lefts. So a huge advantage for her. But let's have a look at this one. Caitlin Simmers up against Sophie McCulloch. Katie Simmers comes into this event, the world #1. 2 victories for her this season, the only surfer with 2 wins. Sophie McCulloch needs to win this contest, and she is a great surfer from the Sunshine Coast. She's going to bank a pretty good score here, Rich.
Yeah, nice turn to start things off. You can see full extension on the backhand there. She sets up this bottom turn again. Another nice little pockety moment here. You can see great rotation there all the way around. Touch of tail release, and then gets to the finish. So a nice 2-turn combination. Kept a lot of flow in between those turns. This was Katie.
So this will be an interesting test for Katie, getting back to the left and goes backside there. We saw her in the preheat warm-up, actually a standout, hitting the end section, and as Flick referred to in that last heat, just how shallow it is on the inside section. So there's a lot to look down on when you go vertical on that end bit.
30 minutes, 30 seconds to go. The opening exchange. It goes Sophie McCulloch's way, a 5.5 for Katie there, Kuiper.
Yeah, well, I'll kind of run you through what I saw from the water from that opening exchange. Started the heat, open priority. Katie didn't even contest Sophie for that opening left. I think Katie, you know, she's a surfer. She just wants to get the priority rotation going. Let that wave go. Sophie McCulloch executed on that wave. Then Katie, big backhand snap to finish that wave, but did a pencil type of dismount there. Talking to Ant-Man here, he's saying, like, on that inside section there, it's very shallow. It's, you know, there's like ledges and all kinds of reef there. You definitely want to pull out the back and not do those kind of pencil drops feet first, because even if you're going feet first, you can go feet first straight into the reef.
Oh, that's something that maybe Ant-Man will have to yell out to Katie then, as we see Sophie up on wave #2, getting back out there, up into the pocket, whipping the board aggressively through that final turn. And she's looking to really apply some pressure. We talk about it often. You know, you want to cause an upset result. You've got to turn the heat up on those top seeds who've got the, you know, the run of form and the superior confidence at this point in the season.
She definitely looks like she's turned the volume up on her performance here. Just looking a little bit faster than she was over at Bells Beach there, looking good on the backhand. And psychologically, she got the advantage on the first wave. Half a point more. Let's check the replay out here. So just a cuppy little section. Has to drive down the line. Now she gets to work on the open face. Nice and patient before that last turn. A tricky little section to navigate through there. Lots of bump and wobble on the wave here as it finished up, but nice clean turn to start off. Now she sets her line again, gets on that hillside rail. Quick transition. Almost a fraction late to that final turn, but nonetheless, some drama as she makes it through the whitewash.
I think Sophie McCulloch's going to be paying closer attention and really keeping her head in the game from the opening hooter until the final hooter in this heat, because one previous matchup between these two competitors, Portugal 2023, and Sophie had Katie on the ropes, didn't use her priority. Katie swooped on a wave, a buzzer beater moment for her to snatch that victory in the quarters and ultimately go on to win her first CT event. So Sophie wouldn't have forgotten that. She probably had some sleepless nights after that result, but she's doing well at the moment. She's just backed up that opening ride with a 6.33. Let's quickly check in with Stacey, the winner of the last heat.
Thanks, Ron. Breeza Hennessy, congratulations.
Thanks, Darius. I appreciate it. Yeah, it was a lot of wave catching, which we haven't done in a little bit, so it was good to get the body moving and go left.
What's it like to reset the strategies, reset what you're looking for, and get out there and get the job done?
It's good. I feel like we're constantly adapting. I think that's what, you know, all the best surfers are able to do, and to be able to open up your mind and just see new sections and kind of have to make a new game plan was good. It definitely expanded my brain.
Very patient, a couple of great leaves at the end there while Lakey was searching around on the inside. You must take a lot of confidence out of that and your read on this wave.
Yeah, you know, it's not just all about surfing. I think it's such a chess game, and I'm learning about, you know, to try to be patient. I think sometimes your ego kicks in and you're like, I just want to surf. But I think the end goal is, you know, making heats no matter what it looks like sometimes. And I think being just, open and in the moment with that.
You've been having a great time in Western Australia, surfing with Molly Picklum on all the lay days. You'll surf against her in the next round. What do you make of that matchup?
Oh gosh, I mean, Molly honestly is one of the athletes on tour that I think I love competing against the most. She's one of my best friends on tour, and, you know, on land I feel like we keep it, you know, super light and hilarious, and then in the water I don't think there's anyone else I want to be more, and I think she feels the same way. So yeah, hopefully there'll be a lot of waves and some crazy exchanges.
I'm fired up, well said. Did you want to sing out to all your fans around the world, Costa Rica, Hawaii, Fiji?
Yeah, oh my gosh, to everyone watching, and a todos en Costa Rica, muchísimas gracias por todo. Realmente estoy muy agradecida por todos tus mensajes y apoyo, y estoy muy feliz de estar en los quarterfinales y vamos con todo. Gracias.
Thank you, Breeza. Thank you, Ron.
Thanks, Stace. Breeza Hennessy will take on Molly Picklum in the quarterfinals. There's a bit of head-to-head history there between those two, and it's always been in the finals. A couple of quarters, a semi. Molly leads Breeza 2-1. So that'll be a huge one. But Breeza just seems up for any challenge that's thrown at her at the moment. Out there in the lineup, we've got a replay of Katie's second ride.
Yeah, so Katie gets a lot done on this wave. That third turn goes up and over the section. So this one really almost going into the Margie's right, the right that we've been surfing the last few days. And you can do that on a bigger day. That south swell pushes across. But as Kaipo said earlier, it's so shallow in there. And you can just see the inside of the reef in the middle of the screen off to the right. That's where you end up. The paddle out can be a little bit precarious. If one of those double ups comes in, it can spell some trouble for your feet, your hands when you're duck diving, or your equipment as well, Rich.
Yeah, absolutely. It's a different playing field to Margaret River main break. We've seen all these competitors going right predominantly over the last several days. It's all about the lefts today. The right-hander on the other side of this peak. It offers sort of that 1, 2 maybe good turns, and then it goes really fat, whereas that left-hander's sort of coming at you. It's got a better angle on it. It stands up and allows the surfers to really get that sort of figure-8 motion going down the line. So I think the left is predominantly the way that they're going to go today. We may see the odd right-hander ridden.
This is much friendlier than the end section on the right.
Yeah.
Let's say that. There's a lot of talk about how shallow this left is. Well, it's not bone dry, so that gives you the opportunity to lay out on the back of the wave. Pin drops are probably not the smartest way to eject from a wave, but this is child's play for the world's best surfers. They're in no danger out here at the moment, and they're not going to be running off their equipment on dry rock, so they're thrilled probably. It's a nice break from the typical end section here on the rights.
And yeah, I think so. I was just going to say too, you know, we're comparing the two breaks. Yeah, I've competed out here on Southside numerous occasions when it was a qualifying series event. We actually used to run split peaks and have heats going on both breaks. But while there's these sort of multiple sections that do pop up on the south side, I do think overall it's probably a more predictable wave than Margaret River main break in terms of its sort of moods and what it offers you. But yeah, no, it's definitely fun. It's rippable. It's contestable. So let's do this.
Pretty funny too, just thinking about some of those years, Rich, with the qualifying series events. We talk about how treacherous this location can be. Here's a bizarre one. One year during the QS, if my memory serves me correctly, we'll get back to that. Sophie McCulloch's taken off. This is wave number 4 for Sophie. Looking to drop a 6-point ride to increase her lead here. Really leans back on the tail of that board, drives up into that final section. But yeah, during the event one year, I'm pretty sure a Dolphin launched in the lineup and landed on Kurt Nyholm's back.
I did too, that's right.
He didn't get too injured, but it would have given him a nasty shock. Yeah, just imagine the poor Dolphin though, what he was thinking.
Wrong place, wrong time for sure.
22.5 minutes to go here. Sophie McCulloch, let's have a look at what kind of work she got done on the replay here, Matt.
Yeah, so a little bit small. This camera angle's a different camera angle to what we saw on the first 2 waves, so you have to keep that in mind. Maybe a little less intensity than I think that opening wave or the second wave. So yeah, and it does come in.
Matt, we were just chatting about Soph and just her kind of surfing, her brand of surfing, the fact that she's been elevated into the position with Carissa Moore stepping away from the tour. So she's only had the opportunity to surf before events, but doesn't feel like we've seen the best of her yet on the CT, does it?
She's very technically gifted. The way that she's very precise. She's got a great style, a good technique. Her boards at Piazel look fantastic. She's on a 23.5 litre Radius Prime model, that round tail. She's got the fanning fins, which are a big fin that a lot of surfers opt for with the smaller boards to add some control. So somebody who's aware of their body, aware of what boards are matched to their type of style of surfing. And I feel like somewhere like Bells, it's just a shame we couldn't see more of it. It's somewhere I feel like could be in her wheelhouse, a long point break. Even J Bay, when it was on tour, could be somewhere that could really suit her, coming from the Sunshine Coast, not too dissimilar to some of the Wrights that we see on the Gold Coast and on Sunny Coast as well. But let's see how she goes in this heat. She still has an opportunity. She could cause a lot of upsets in this event, but the yellow jersey, Caitlin Simmers, is looking for a pretty hefty score out there right now.
Caitlin Simmers, amazing, breaking through for 2 victories last year as a rookie, getting herself all the way to 4th position. I think as a rookie, you're kind of thinking, well, Brazil, Portugal, they're locations you kind of expect a rookie to get a victory. You know, they're not those waves that take a lot of figuring out, but for her to come back in her second year, win pipe, and then get the job done at Bells Beach, Rich, is amazing.
Yeah, for someone so young to be that well-rounded and have the ability to sort of figure out these waves really quickly, that often takes 2 or 3, even more seasons to really get comfortable in those positions, you know, and she's been able to do that in year number 2, which is quite extraordinary, and it really does speak to just somewhat of a freak that she is.
Yeah, the surfing, it was there last year, obviously good enough to win her events, but her competitive edge this year has really helped her get consistency in her results. She's been so impressive with the decision making, and she's onto another good ride here. Wow. She needed a 6.83 to get herself in front as Sophie falls on the outside here.
Wow, there's some, and that, I mean, that's what Katie brings to the championship tour, a sense of radical intuition. The way that she's loose up the top and she's pretty relaxed, she's really filled in the gaps in between the sections this year, and I think that's been a big improvement working with the coach. She's been able to find that flow and that connection between maneuvers. As we see this one, see her eyeing up this section, it's a choppy section. She goes up and over, chops the wave in 2, goes for another little snap there, and just when you think it's over, she throws some unpredictability at that, throwing the fins out of the back, and just carrying that momentum down the line with a solid 4th turn as well.
Yeah, I think Katie thought this wave was all done after the 3rd turn, and then that final little section popped up. You can see each one of these maneuvers slightly different from the other. She's adapting to what the wave is offering her so well. That final turn, or the 3rd turn, I'm sorry, just had that little tail slide. You can see here, keeps the board pointing down the line here, keeps that speed running and momentum, all things forward. Look at the hand movement there, very balanced. She just gets this nice backhand slash, great extension. Now she compresses again off the bottom. And then watch this one here. She sort of kicks the tail out a little bit.
Oh, sick.
Wow.
Gets a little off axis there, but total control throughout.
just ridiculous how well she read that first section too. She was in full attack mode, and for me, this has been the big improvement in Katie's surfing. Last year, you know, she had that casual kind of style and approach between her moves. She's improved her flow, but added some real aggression, and she has just dropped a massive number here, 9.1 to get herself in front. Now Sophie McCulloch's got work to do. She's going to swing the tail on that final section, and she's going to need an excellent number now, 8.28 to get back out in front. Meanwhile, on the outside, Katie finds more room to move. Another strong opening move, up into the pocket again. Kicking on that tail. Ooh, she's going to dive off there. Just over 17.5 minutes to go. Simmers on fire now.
Was that a little mini stare down of the judges?
Looked like that, yeah.
See that?
Yeah, I saw that.
I
don't know about the head first into the reef. That was a bit precarious, but I love what you said about the flow and then the connection, because what comes with connecting maneuvers with flow is speed, and then the power comes. You can't have two without the third, and it's really difficult to have that combo, and that's what Katie's showcasing, a 9.10, and it was well rewarded because she carried so much speed through those maneuvers, and the power was a result of that speed, and it's really tricky to surf that type of wave with that type of variety as well, so very well rewarded, I feel.
Yeah, I think it was spot on. Kaipo, you were lucky enough to call the event at Pipe. What was the feeling like on the beach when Katie Simmers, Betty Lusakura Johnson and Molly Picklum just changed the game completely?
Yeah, that was February 10th, 2024. That's going to go down the history books of a pivotal moment in women's surfing. That was an incredible day. But Katie Simmers, she's an incredible surfer. We saw that at the beginning. I talked to you about her being a surfer, and she was confident enough not even to hassle at the beginning, happy to get into the priority rotation. She got the priority. She got a 9.1. That wave was just incredible to watch her surf through that wave, connecting all the dots, high-risk maneuvers on the backhand, speedy surfing, and it looks like she just got a 7.33 to back up that 9.1. So Katie Simmers now taking control of this heat, and let's touch on our Oakberry surf conditions update, Ron. 5-mile-per-hour wind, actually getting lighter as the day progresses right now. About 3 to 4 foot faces here on south side. Conditions update. Thank you, Oakberry.
Thank you, Kaipo. And yeah, I'm just loving what we're seeing from Katie here. I've always loved her style. I think it's pretty unique when you sort of start comparing it to the other competitors on the tour. I grew up just running Dane Reynolds clips on repeat. Sampler was one of her favourites. She'd always watch it before she went surfing. You can see some of that influence, I think, in the individual turns that she's done, but she's definitely looks so engaged in each of her rides now. You know, she doesn't have any downtime between her turns. Her flow seems improved this year.
It's, you know, you see a lot coming through the junior ranks in the QS. She's not overcoached. She doesn't have a repertoire or a prerequisite to what she needs to do on the wave. She's reading it for what's in front of her, and watching those movies, that inspiration is what's giving her all that creativity.
And here she goes now, eyeing a right and winding through a big cutback, thinking about the reverse on the rebound. Can't get it done, but I think that's what makes her special, Rich. She always has you kind of guessing what she might attempt.
Yeah, it's that unpredictable nature of a surfer like Katie Simmers that keeps us so engaged. So here's a replay of Sophie McCulloch's last ride. Just gets up, quick snap to start things off. Comes around this section. You can see she had to wait on that one. Just a multiple stage bottom turn, but really not getting a lot of work down the line here. Katie, on the other hand, drives hard off the bottom, accelerates out of the lip, just cuts the top of the wave in half. And then the combination keeps all that speed, as you were saying, Matt, into that last turn. But watch her drive off here.
Yeah.
The forward projection off that bottom turn is extraordinary. And really just winding up off the top. Just reconnects with this bottom turn. Watch this here. The upper body is creating the pathway, the lower body following. And just the two-turn combination with a solid 7.33 as a result.
Yeah, I think the look was one of maybe frustration, but that the wave didn't offer a third section, because she knew she was on her way to potentially another excellent score there with those 2 big opening moves. Great combination, well out in front. In fact, she's comboed Sophie McCulloch at this stage. Sophie after a 2-wave total of 16.43. The good thing for Sophie is there's still a bit of time on the clock here. Just over 13 minutes remaining. You're watching Heat 5, the round of 16.
Have a nice race, everyone! Run with me! People all around the world running together at the same time.
Let's get it. This is your capture car, your moving finish line.
Sign up now at wingsforlifeworldrun.com. Let's run for those who can't.
Our friends at Red Bull are supporting Wings for Life, the World Run, and we're joining them to raise money for spinal cord research by creating a WSL team and running with them on May 5. Make sure you get behind it. It is a fantastic movement and always something worth celebrating and getting involved in. Just over 10.5 minutes remaining in this 5th heat of the round of 16. A spot in the quarterfinals up for grabs. A lot on the line here for Sophie McCulloch, but Caitlin Simmers very aware that Molly Picklum has already progressed through to the quarterfinals. She won't want to let Molly make up any ground on those epic rankings. You think about the race for the final 5 and the fact that Joanne Defay fell out of the mix early here. This is a big opportunity for Caitlin to create a bit of separation between herself, the rest of the field, and go one step closer to locking up her position. She's going to be hard to knock out of the final 5 with 2 victories though, Rich.
Yeah, you'd have to think that she's all but already secured a spot. We won't speculate though. Let's check this replay. Let's look at the line. Gee, she just tags that first section. You can see how busy she looks, engaged in this wave. Just gets that really high risk maneuver that the judges want to see. It's critical. It's high risk. She's putting it on the line, and that's why it went way up into the excellent range. The bottom turn is astounding to me. Just how much projection, how much acceleration off the bottom, and that really made that turn dynamic and explosive.
And keeping in mind, we weren't privy to what the judges were talking about today, but they did send their notes. But I think, having judged some contests myself, they would have been expecting 2-turn combos today, and for someone to throw out 4 turns and all of them being quality individual maneuvers, that's why it went so high. And it's the unpredictability. We talked about that. And end section, if you can hit that end section like we see on the right, and you can come out with some power and some flow and control, you're going to get rewarded every time. And yeah, she's just throwing so much spray. Nearly every bottom turn, her hand is in the water, and she, as you said earlier, Rich, she's driving up into the lip, and that is creating this fan of spray. And from a distance, which is where these judges are, they're about 300 meters from the takeoff spot. It looks extravagant.
Best number of the event on the women's side so far here at the Western Australia Margaret River Pro. Impressive to think to Caitlin Simmers. She stands at 5 foot 3 inches tall. Weighs just over 100 pounds, 114 pounds, 52 kilograms, so 158 centimetres tall. There's not much of her, but she surfs big.
She certainly does, and she does have that ability to look like the output of power that she's delivering is way more than what she actually weighs. But yeah, she really is a phenomenal surfer, and that's why she's shaking up the tour so much. You know, these are these moments in time where someone new comes in and breathes new life into the tour, because a new way of surfing. You know, I think back to when Dane Reynolds came on the championship tour on the men's side. Everyone sort of went, whoa, what's going on here? We need to lift again. We need to adapt and bring some new manoeuvres into our own repertoires. Obviously, Kelly did it before him as well. But there are these individuals that seem to, you know, they basically change the way the game's viewed.
Another big clash coming up. Looking forward to this one. Tatiana Weston-Webb, former champ here. She'll be taking on Tyler Wright. Should be a great battle. Plenty of history between those two, head to head. As Tyler makes her way down the stairs here. Looking focused. And like she means business on this Thursday, just after 2 p.m. Sun's just been shining every day of the event window, and everyone's just been lapping up the entire experience of visiting this region, from the waves to exploring the caves in this region, the beautiful coastal walks that you can take, and just shoveling that Margaret River produce just into our faces like you wouldn't believe.
And being well-travelled surfers ourselves is that we often find ourselves comparing locations to other surf spots, but with over 80 individual plant species here in this 130-kilometre coastline, there really is not many places like it. I can draw some comparisons to maybe Northern Africa, or you talk about Portugal, you talk about bits maybe down near Port Campbell, you know, southern Victoria or South Australia, but it is a unique landscape with so many different waves as well. I mean, they say 75 waves, but I reckon there's more.
Yeah. It's a beautiful stretch of surfing coastline down here in the southwest, one that every surfer worth their salt should take the time to come and visit. 6 minutes remaining here. Sophie McCulloch is, well, she's running out of time, Rich. She needs 2 waves.
Yeah, this is a horror story, really, for Sophie McCulloch. And, well, she started the heat so well, you know, in those opening 10 minutes. She had the best 2 rides. Her 2 scoring waves were above Katie's. And then, well, just Katie wound up and found a couple of gems and really started to open up, showing a bit more variety, more high risk on the manoeuvres.
And how often will mid-range 6s or 6s get you a win over someone of Katie's calibre?
Not at this level, I don't think. You know, even in the earlier rounds, you know, Katie's just so capable of dropping big numbers, and she's one of those competitors that when you line up against her, you know, you're in danger of actually going outside your comfort zone in the way you like to compete, because you're already intimidated by what she's going to produce or potentially going to produce. So that's something that you need to keep in check.
Just really interesting thinking about that scenario at the start of this heat too. I think, you know, wanting to get the quick start, you know, it just hasn't worked in Sophie's favour here. Just on 5 minutes to go here. Caitlin Simmers holds priority and a very healthy heat score total, 16.43. Let's dive into the recap. So it was Sophie taking the first ride, and she did surf it well.
Yeah. Sorry, Matt, go.
She brought her A game, that's for sure. Starting off with a bang with that 6-point ride, and she could always have put Katie on the ropes because it is unpredictable conditions. But Katie answering straight back with a 4-turn combo to earn her that 9.10, and just showing some spark and flair that we haven't seen on the women's side of the draw, especially going left in this whole event.
You can just see it, can't you? There's a difference in speed between Katie and Sophie. When you're looking at the waves up against each other, just the radical nature of the turns, the acute angles that Katie is drawing and on these waves, it's just remarkable. You know, Sophie's surfing really good. Those 2 6-point rides, where she put down some solid manoeuvres on those, but she really, at this point, needs one of those special waves that runs all the way through, offers her 3 or maybe even 4 turns, and then she's going to have to do it all again.
And keeping in mind, 12.33 heat total is not a bad one, but knowing that score of the 9.10 as a competitor or and as a coach perspective, it puts you off and you have to recalibrate your game plan. So I would say if she was up against somebody who wasn't on a roll like Katie, she would have built on that total already, perhaps getting 7s and 8s, but she's out there thinking, trying to find that solution to get out of combo land, but time is running thin.
Well, Sophie McCulloch, you know, aside from being a remarkable surfer, she also has a head that's got a big, brilliant brain stuffed in it. So she would have worked out that she needs a couple of mid-range 8s likely here. She has graduated from university with a degree in marketing and biomedical science. She's super bright. She did all that study while she was competing as well and graduating to this lofty position of the championship tour. But this is tough. It doesn't matter how analytical you are, there's going to be some emotion attached to a heat like this.
Yeah, this is a big one, and you know, her time on the championship tour obviously under threat right now with 2.5 minutes to go. And you know, perhaps by nature of getting the position with Carissa, maybe she felt a bit like a visitor on the championship tour rather than a permanent fixture. I don't know, but
well, you're making up ground straight away.
Yeah.
You're left out of a one whole event, so that was a missed opportunity for her. And I would have liked Sophie's chances in the Pipe Pro. She's just such a charger, such a committed surfer, and we've seen that in the past. She originally graduated to the championship tour with a big win at Hurley in decent conditions, pretty sizey conditions, but unfortunately, before the 2023 season got underway, she had a shocking injury, tearing an anterior ligament in her ankle. She missed Pipe and Sunset, and she's just kind of been struggling to get back. So I'm thrilled that she's had this opportunity with Carissa stepping away as an injury replacement surfer, but she's got so much more to give. So at this stage, 1.5 minutes to go, it's an impossible task to turn this heat around.
Yeah, I feel like there's still positive elements that Sophie can extract from this situation. You know, she did perform well on her 2 top scoring rides. You know, she will bounce back in a big way, and once she gets onto the Gold Coast in the Challenger Series, look out. You know, she is going to have a fire in her belly.
Yeah, she's got the boys up there in Pizel who will be working on her boards for her. She'll be close to home. She'll be able to get back to the warmer waters and recalibrate and put on a good performance there at the Goldie and then down in Narrabeen, because she deserves to be on this tour. She has a technique and a style that is world-class, and she's definitely one of my favourites, that's for sure.
Yep. So many great surfers on that tour. I think for me, Sophie McCulloch might be a favourite for the win at that first Challenger Series event.
Yeah, I would back you 100%. You know, she's got to be one of the favoured women in the field for sure. And like I said yesterday, that there's an attitude that you take from the championship tour once you go back to the Challenger Series, and there's a confidence that you have, again, just being around this all these top athletes. So she will be going into that event, and look out, everyone else.
What a powerful performance from the world #1 here. Brilliant in tricky conditions. There was plenty of bump on each of her rides too, and she just carved her way through it with committed bottom turns that set up amazing hits in the most critical sections of both her rides.
Yeah, there was a very unique style of surfer that we have in the water right now. We said goodbye to the GOAT, Kelly Slater, but we're welcoming a new generation of surfers across the women's and men's divisions, and none other than Caitlin Simmers.
Yeah, she's stepping up in a big way. And if she continues to surf like that, she's going to be very difficult to knock out of this draw at the Western Australia Margaret River Pro. Another big clash with 2 veterans out there next, Tatiana Weston-Webb and Tyler Wright, when we get back from the break. The Western Australia Margaret River Pro is brought to you by Oakberry. Fuel yourself with the official acai of WSL Australia. By BioGland, official vitamin partner of the WSL Australia. By Boost Mobile, official telecommunication partner of WSL Australia. And by Shire of Augusta Margaret River. Proud to support the Western Australia Margaret River Pro, which celebrates the epic local surfing culture of this region.
Well, today is all about searching out the round of 16 for quarterfinalists, and we've just seen Caitlin Simmers progress through the last heat over Sophie McCulloch. We're now getting set for a clash between two veterans, two incredibly dominant forces on the Women's Championship Tour. Tatiana Weston-Webb representing Brazil out there in the red. Tyler Wright, the Australian two-time world champion, will be out there in the blue jersey. It's going to be a lot of fun. Ronnie sitting alongside Rich and the Waxhead. What are your thoughts on this battle, Rich? Who do you think is going to get the job done?
Well, you can flip a coin on this one. This is a final, basically. And these two competitors, a ton of experience. I love that we have a goofy footer up against a natural footer. We're going to see Tyler, attack these little left-handers. We know how fast and, sharp she can turn off the top. But Tatiana, well, she just relishes these sort of conditions. A little bit of surface bump and an uneven surface. She just, really powers through it. Great surfer, tends to throw the tail out a little bit too. So a super even matchup, and I'm not actually going to go out on a limb and call the winner.
Well, Tatiana's forehand equally as strong as her backhand. She's won events both ways. Tyler, not so many victories for her at the elite level with her backhand. She has done it, but not as often as Tatiana. Both have won this contest, though. Tyler getting a victory here back in 2016 in what was one of the most dominant campaigns for a world title we've ever seen. She won 5 events that year and backed it up 2017. But it does remind me a lot of John, both of them missing the 2018-2019 season. Despite that, Tyler still has 16 championship tour wins, which is, a remarkable tally. Certainly has more in her, I think.
Yeah, absolutely. And the variety I think both of these women bring to the game, their choice of maneuvers, they have a huge repertoire. Getting that win in 2016, Tyler was one of the first women to really start utilising the layback jam. She was really using that throughout her victories, and you didn't see it on the women's side of the draw very often. On the other end of the spectrum, Tatiana, we didn't see many of the women going vert. She was one of the first women to see regularly sending it up and absolutely going crazy on end sections. So some progression there from both surfers, which saw Tatiana get the win in 2021. And she was one of my favourites coming into this event, thinking the Wrights, you're thinking an element of difference. Obviously, Caroline's fantastic on her backside as well, but I think Tatiana out here has a real advantage going right. But on these lefts, could we see a little air section? I think so. Saw her practicing this morning, and I thought, wow, if there's a little section, I think she's going to go to the air.
Yeah, 30 minutes to go here. We were touching on some of the history between these two veterans. Obviously, have both been on tour for over a decade now, and plenty of matchups. But it is working in Tyler Wright's favour. 8 to Tatiana's 2. I guess the most interesting thing about that stat is the fact that one of Tatiana's big victories over Tyler came here at Margaret River. Yeah, that was in 2021.
Yeah, so there'll be a psychological edge in that regard for Tatiana Weston-Webb, and you look at those max heat scores as well. The edge does go to Tatiana with the highest single wave as well. And just interesting to note here, it's been a little switcheroo battle here between inside position. If we count the left as the predominant direction here, Tyler had it for a little while, then Tatiana had it. Now Tyler's got it again, so they're sort of switching back and forth, playing a bit of cat and mouse at the start of this one.
I think with the wind, the way it's blowing at the moment, the focus is the lefts, but you can also get a right that refracts around that reef pretty nicely too. And I wouldn't be surprised if we see Tyler have a chance on one, because her forehand is, one of the strongest on the CT.
Yeah, if it was a little cleaner, you'd almost see a little bit of a barrel too. John said in one of the recent podcasts, actually, the Barrel podcast, he said he doesn't mind the right. He said he actually practices the right and he kind of enjoys his time there. So it is a rippable wave.
Well, here goes Tyler on the backhand. Throws it up into the pocket there. Doesn't get much more out of that wave. Tatiana Weston-Webb can seal up her position on the championship tour with a victory in this heat. And it would definitely help Tyler's chances if she were to progress as well, obviously coming into this one in 8th position, but huge for Tatiana. She can lock it down here.
It actually just seems extraordinary that we're talking about both of these women and the cut. You know, you would normally just think that they were easily qualified for the tour at the halfway mark. It's the replay of Tyler here, just caught behind a little bit on this wave, just didn't quite get out in front of those sections. Didn't get that speed up and running. She'll be looking for more in this one. This will be a low-scoring wave to start things off.
She's been looking really relaxed and really light around the contest side. I saw her walking out with a fishing rod yesterday when the contest was called off, and she went for a fish and she ended up catching a salmon down the beach as well. It's very unique seeing someone do that in the preheat routine.
It's a victory before you get out there, isn't it? As we see Tatiana finishing off a nice ride here. Now, the reason that these two are just outside that locked-in position is the fact that they're carrying 9ths. That's what they both need to progress out of this round to add to their rankings total, their points total for the season so far. So, you know, that's why they haven't been able to shore up their position just yet. But Tatiana with a couple of quarterfinals and a semi is just a bit ahead of Tyler on the rankings at the moment. So can help herself by holding off Tyler's challenge, but can also really start to max out the points tally as well.
On these lay days, Rich, typically we see Margaret River pumping. I mean, there is still a lot of waves out there. We saw 15 and that 16 in that last heat. If you want to talk us through this replay.
Yeah, so Tatiana comes around this first section nice and high. The opening manoeuvre, gets a wrap, cuts it short to get to that final section. Perfect control, those final 2 manoeuvres looking strong.
Yeah, it was a good finishing turn for sure. We've got numbers on the way, but before we get them, let's check in with Caitlin Simmers. She's just made the jump into the quarters. Stace, what a performance.
Thank you, Ron. Yes, indeed. But Caitlin, I'd like to know about your performances around the town here. You been stacking clips or what?
Yeah, we had like a full little free surf day the other day. Surfed the box and surfed, yeah, did this like, I don't know, just did a little free surf day. It was fun, surfed all day. And then yesterday I was pretty tired, so kind of just moseyed around. But I don't know, I've been having a good time.
What's the schedule like when you get home? All crowd around the computer while Dan's sort of shuffling through the selects, and then you sit around and have a coffee and watch them, or what's the deal?
Yeah, Dan, those red clips are so big, so it takes so long for to do anything. But then my computer like sounds like it's gonna blow up every time I try to edit. But yeah, Dan's a guru, so I'll probably just be like, oh, I'll just go through all the clips and do everything and try to do everything. But he's the guy.
What are you working on?
I don't know. I don't really know what yet, but I'm working on a video this year, so yeah.
Scored so far?
Sorry, what did you say?
Outside of this part of the world, have you scored so far?
Yeah, I feel like the tour we haven't gotten much good waves, but outside of it, like, there's a lot of waves around here that are really fun when it's this small, so been enjoying that, but it's been pretty grindy out here. But honestly, this is like the sickest opportunity to go left on tour. Like, I was honestly so pumped before my heat, like looking at these little lefts. But yeah, because I'm always hoping that they'll put a left on tour, like a fun little rippable left, and this is exactly what it is. So I'm pumped. Maybe I wish they were running a couple more rounds here, but we'll see.
See how you go. You and Soph teed off on a couple out there, but where do you get that extra confidence to push off the bottom? Your equipment and your timing looks amazing.
Yeah, Sophie's like, she's really just such a good competitor and really smart in heats, and she always like gets me in the beginning, like with the first wave, and it kind of throws you off mentally. But I guess I was just trying to tell myself, like, there's a lot of waves were coming through watching it, so kind of just surf. And after I kind of got those first 2 5s and she was getting 6s, and I was kind of like, dang it, like, what am I doing? But I was kind of just knowing that I had to wait for kind of a good set and get a good section. And then, I don't know, I tried to, like, this wave is so confusing. There's so many boils, and when you're out there, it's like, you can kind of see where it's breaking from the beach, but when you're out there, the chops, like, you can't tell where the boils are because there's chops, and so it's pretty confusing. But I was trying to take off on that outside boil so I could get the first turn, and yeah, it worked out.
Congratulations, you're still through to the next round. The Southside trophy stays in your house. Well done, coach will be proud. Thanks, Ronnie.
Thank you, Stace. Katie Simmers, just enjoying the mosey around town, taking it easy, getting a lot of free surfing done. Looking forward to seeing those clips from Dan Scott, great creator on the Aussie East Coast, and I just love watching all his slow-mo vision. He had the amazing wave of Kelly that he shot from that last swell up at Kira. Often has clips of Brendan Margison surfing, Steph Gilmore recently. So, yeah, he's going to have some fantastic vision coming our way of Caitlin Simmers from around the CT events here in Australia. We've got 22 minutes remaining here, and Tatiana Weston-Webb looking strong on her opening ride, been pretty patient so far. Tyler Wright, just a little less control and hasn't really teed off on one just yet, but certainly capable of turning this one around.
Yeah, there's actually a lot of swell activity out there. It's just surfers just choosing, they're trying to look for that specific left. There's that boil out the front of Tatiana. You can sort of see little ruffled surface at times. That's what Katie was alluding to, just trying to get that chip shot into it behind the chop, because that's that wind coming across right now. And Southside is open, a little bit more susceptible to wind than Margie's. Margie's does bend around. It was funny listening to that post-heat interview. 99% of the surfing world refers to Margaret River as a left-hander. And talking about a left on tour, I mean, it kind of is here, but everyone goes right anyway. So Southside, it's ironic, because you come to surf Southside and everyone's going right. Nearly no free surfers go left. It's just funny how these top upper echelon of professionals will look at a wave a little bit more different and decide Southside's a left. If you're any normal day, everyone's going right out here.
It's true. Yeah, even Mel Redmond-Carr, the great Mel Redmond-Carr, who won this event so many times back in the day, was out there surfing one of the first days of the event window, and she was saying, oh, I didn't even know there was a left here. But here we go with just over 20 and a half minutes to go. We've got Kaipo in the lineup. He's been bringing us all that insightful gold from his position. And Kaipo's Tatiana in a great spot here.
Yeah, Tati, you know, with the early lead, with that early exchange and the lead, Tatiana, she was surfing out here earlier before we got the event going, along with her coach Ross Williams and Sakura Johnson. So it looked like Tati was doing a little bit of homework out here before her heat on the free surfs. Looked like it's paying off. You heard Katie talk about it. You guys have talked about it. There is, and I told you, Ant-Man identified it, that ledge out there and that little chip shot. If you can get into one of those, there's a couple of obvious boils actually here that that when the sets come, that you want to be right near to get those high-scoring waves.
Any opportunity on the rights out there too, Kipes, or is that just looking a little average at the moment?
Yeah, the rights, the way that the rights are going into this deep water channel wouldn't allow you, like, there's not much of a wall on the rights, right? So you'd be relegated to a series of cutbacks. Now, an odd one that could come through the inside double up, if you were very deep on it, then you would have a wall, but it would have to be, when you look at the judging criteria, it would have to be one of those, like, one big, huge critical maneuver for a score that way.
Yeah, I like a good call, and that's why the competitors focusing at the moment on the left-handers. Kipes is having just a dream run in his position at the moment with the weather that we've had. I've seen him out there on 15-foot days where the ski's punching through set waves. He's getting blown all over the place, flicked off the ski. He can't hear a word that anyone's saying, and he comes in and it's just a full-blown wrinkle fest. It's a nightmare for him, but he's looking sharp as out there in his epic shades.
Yeah, we love getting all those crosses in the water. And Kipes obviously been around pro surfing for just so many years and a wealth of knowledge.
Definitely, and really sort of zoning in on these competitors and how they're feeling confidence-wise. And you can't mention Kipes without mentioning the camera crew. Sammy Smith. He's doing a fantastic job bringing that vision, tanning up a storm out there. And then obviously you've got an unbelievable water patrol team here that is led by Perry Hatchett, a former head judge, great surfer in this region. Dino Adrian has been part of that crew. Of course, Paul Ant-Man Patterson, such a great surfer.
Yeah, unbelievable team of watermen out here. You know, Ant-Man, I just instantly, as soon as you said his name, thought back to, you know, those days of him surfing at Waimea at, you know, 25 to 30 feet, just attacking it. You know, he's got a heart like a lion, an incredible surfer.
Yeah, amazing. Yeah, his performances in big waves over there on the North Shore are famous. His performances in town, maybe even, you know, more celebrated. Unbelievable.
I just wanted to touch on, Ronnie, we've been talking about boils and takeoff spots, and, you know, perhaps we need to sort of just dive into that and what creates these little sort of takeoff zones and these boils that we're talking about. And it's the undulations in the reef floor, you know, in the rock surface below our competitors, and these differences in height of these rock shelves and the gaps between them. They sort of create this upwelling of water that sort of rises up and then disperses the water, and our surfers use those boils as a positioning point for where the takeoff zone is. And that's generally where, you know, if a bigger set came through, the wave would peak up and break on over these boils. So you know, as a surfer, as a waterman, you start to learn all these things about, you know, the rock floor, and it's entirely different to surfing on a sand bottom, which is generally more even. We talk about sandbars, but all these reefs out here, you know, they're so inconsistent most of the time, and, you know, you have to spend time out here if you want to really master these breaks.
16 and a half minutes to go here. Just one wave for Tatiana Weston-Webb, but it's enough to keep her in front. Tyler Wright currently chasing just a 2.84 to get up into first place.
Lost track of how many times I've come to Western Australia, but it's that returning to nature and really feeling in touch with the raw elements, the surf, the forests, the beautiful wineries, the food, and the people, I think is what makes this place really special. I'm super excited for the opportunity to have a few lay days here. I love the ocean and the waves here. It's powerful, it reminds me a lot of home. It's a time for me to kind of just find the enjoyment and fun in it.
Great to see Carissa Moore there. That was shot last year. Of course, she's won this event, and we miss her presence at the venue, but we're seeing a lot of this new generation step up and you know, take that place at the top end of the rankings. We've got a couple of veterans fighting to lock in their positions on the championship tour. Tatiana can confirm her place on the CT with a victory here. And she's still hanging on to that #1 position. Tyler Wright in second place. She's after a 3.71 to get herself up into the lead here.
Yeah, it's been a long time since Tatiana got her opening ride, that's 6.5, so she's playing a patience game. In contrast, Tyler's trying to stay busy, trying to get some rhythm going here, but you can see just caught up again, off rhythm, uncharacteristic fall there for Tyler Wright. We can see a paddle battle, so Tatiana took that little inside wave, and a battle for first priority here, an important one that Tyler really needs to win.
Yeah, it's looking like Tati's on the outside, going to get the jump there on Tyler. But a couple of fall-offs in this heat, the 183 and the 197, which aren't factoring in Tyler's scoreline, but they're chewing up time and they're creating some priority issues. But, I mean, there are waves out there on the reef. They're just looking for something of substance. Perhaps Katie's 9-point ride in that previous heat had upped the ante in their mindset. As I said at the beginning, I think the judges were expecting two-turn combos. And this was Tatiana's just a 0.93 on this one. So just races down the line, goes for that snap and just digs the nose in. That would have been a great backup score and put Tyler in quite a precarious position. Only needing a 3.71, you'd have to say if she was a ride out of that, Tachi would have ended up getting a 2 or a 3, which would have then made that requirement a mid-6, when pretty ominous at this point in time.
Yeah, we haven't touched on it too much, just, you know, the importance of this heat for Tyler Wright too. And we can't downplay it. It's huge. She's already drifted out to 10th position. She's down 2 spots on the live rankings. You can check those out at worldsurfleague.com/rankings. And she's in real danger because still alive in the draw, chasing a big result. India Robinson. Also, Sawyer Lindblad, who's coming up in the last heat of this round. Sally Fitzgibbons, they're still alive in the contest. They've got to surf their round of 16 heats as well, but you know, that is a sketchy spot for a 2-time world champion to be sitting.
Wow, and Tyler Wright just taking off on that little inside wave there, relinquishing priority. So now Tatiana Webb, she sits in the box seat. It's like a couple of lines approaching there, just out of position slightly for that last set.
Yeah, both these incredible surfers from big surfing families. Obviously, Tyler, her brothers, amazing surfers. Owen Wright, long, fantastic career on the CT. Also an Olympic medalist. Mikey Wright, just an absolute animal. And one of the rawest characters that we ever saw on the championship tour. As we see Tatiana using her priority for this one. This wave tapering, so she'll want to dig into these first couple of turns. Nice carve to get started. Times the second hit beautifully. It's starting to stand up as it hits the reef on the inside here. And the Brazilian is going to get a good finish on it. Tyler Wright will look to respond here. This first section flattens out a little bit, but she draws off the bottom and gets a nice combination to finish it off. Likely that will be her best wave. Just over 10 minutes to go.
Yeah, game on right now. There's going to be another paddle battle on the way back out. Don't know where Tachi is positioned right now in the lineup. There they are, side by side. So another replicating what just happened last minute, Rick, as they're going to make their way out. We'll see where that one logs in for Tyler, but a 3-turn combo, a couple of nice moments, but not a single major maneuver that's going to get her up into that mid-6s to take that lead. But I think at this point in time, she's still going to require a score.
Yeah, there's a certain flow and rhythm that we're used to seeing with Tyler that just hasn't quite broken through on these left-handers yet. I'm going to give the nod to Tatiana on this last exchange. I just think the maneuvers were crisper, cleaner, executed in more open parts of the wave. The flow in between the turns, the transitions, all that speed was still there. So things may get a little difficult here for Tyler Wright. If Tatiana can put down another big number here, it's going to put a lot of pressure on Tyler in a precarious situation on the ratings as well. Looks like some more waves approaching.
Having a look at this one again, the replay. Nice little swoop, but the wave, it gathered some real energy on the inside here, Matt.
Yeah, she just wanted to get this completion. You see just waiting and anticipating that last maneuver. So it won't, can't see it going as high as that 6.5 or anywhere near it, but it'll be a good keeper for her. And then here's Tyler's backup wave. So a little second and third turn there. So, I mean, it was a slower wave. She did everything she could on it. Good timing with the maneuvers, but just the wave lacked a bit of speed.
Or live action and just kicking out of that one. Look too bad on the inside.
Yeah, just maybe not enough wave height there, but looking at Tyler's wave again, the second and third turn combination wasn't actually too bad. It was quite nice. It was that first sort of short bottom turn, top turn combination. We know the judges always like a critical opening turn, a strong opening turn, and if you can make it a high risk manoeuvre, that's when they will really pay you off with a decent score.
I mentioned Tyler's surfing family before. Tatiana's is incredible too. Dad, Doug, a good surfer, but her mum was a professional bodyboarder. She actually was out in the lineup at Pipeline before she was born, Tatiana. Her mum was still surfing pipe when she was 5 months pregnant.
No way.
So that's probably where that hard-charging, committed surfer, you know, really was born. It's amazing to think that, you know, that Tatiana has joined the elite ranks, pushed her peers into heavier conditions at different stages. Such a feisty competitor when she first joined the tour. It was awesome.
Yeah, she was very feisty and determined, and she's improved, no doubt about it. There's a dependability to her surfer now that you can really rely on. You know, she really doesn't make too many mistakes. Hardly ever see her fall. Tyler Wright, important wave here.
Yeah, let's see if Tyler can clean things up. Just banks off the top there. This section a bit steeper, and she delivers a nice hit. But she needs a big number at the moment. That just doesn't feel like it. She's after a 7.84.
It was better.
Yeah.
I thought it was better, don't you think? But, well, that last exchange, the 6-1 to the 4-8, so that was the spread, and you can see why Tatiana's wave much cleaner. I did like the last turn, though, for Tyler on that last wave. A little bit more spark and flair to it.
Just hasn't had the big opening move yet.
Section, yeah, exactly. Just the combos are there. So the little nice Rio there, and she comes down the inside here, managing the bumps really well, and sort of slides the tail a little bit, gets a bit of a whip there, but not coming down with a lot of speed, and there's no drama to that end turn. And the judges are really looking for those major maneuvers. If you're going to send it up for a 1 or 2 turn combo, there's got to be some risk involved, and she's doing everything she can. It's just that critical section is not appearing at the moment.
Well, Tatiana just scrambling to size up the opportunities on this incoming set, looking to get herself in a good position here. Something standing up on the outside. Tyler making her way back out. Tati has a think about that one, lets it go. Opts for control of the peak.
It almost looked like a couple of those waves came in at a slightly different direction and offered a bit of a right-hand wall on some of them.
5.5 minutes to go. Let's pull up those epic rankings and have a look at where these two surfers are situated. Tatiana pretty well positioned still in 7th with those 2 quarters and a semi, holding her strong up there at the moment, but she can lock in her place with the victory here. Tyler Wright in a much dicier position has drifted out to 10th on the live ranking.
Yeah, sketchy place to be right now, number 10, especially with the likes of Sawyer Lindblad, India Robinson and Sally Fitzgibbons all down there, you know, hunting, so determined, ready to pounce. Live action.
Yeah, nice little finish there, and Tatiana, she, you know, added some real flair to that final manoeuvre. Oh, got up over that foam, so just over 4.5 minutes to go, and if she's celebrating, and she's already got a couple of 6s, you'd think that she might have a really good score on the way here. We'll get a look at the start of that one in just a second.
Yeah, there's that inside reef we're talking about. You're right, comparing to the right, certainly a lot more water on it, but I think it's just the unusual aspect of seeing a left here at Margaret River, but not on Margie's main break. We're actually surfing south side for anyone who's tuning in right now. So we're on the southern side of the reef, same bit of reef, literally 150 meters over to the south. And right now we have Tyler out there searching for 6.8. So the last one, the judges agreed, a 5.87, her best wave. I think it's just on the merit of that last turn.
Yeah, just when Tyler got herself right back in it, Tatiana took off on this wave bridge, that first turn.
No, just so clean. This is the first wave that really offered that beautiful clean wall, and Tatiana taking advantage of that situation. Just really laying down a beautiful rail carve straight into another hit and finishes off strong. This is going to be a nightmare for Tyler Wright, as this requirement is going to go further north.
There it is, 7.17 is the average from the panel, and Tyler Wright now after a 7.8.
Well, it was good for Tachi to capitalise on that and really made that that score blow out again for Tyler. But that was the wave Tyler was looking for. She really needed that answer back. It had to be one of those cleaner, faster waves where she gets some speed and really create some drama for the judges there. But she's a two-time world champion. We know what she's capable of. She has won here before, but she does have her hands full with Tatiana Weston-Webb.
As disappointed as I've seen Tyler after a loss in an event down there at Bells Beach. She usually washes her losses off so well. She's got incredible perspective on what professional surfing means to her. She's so accomplished already, but having, you know, been sidelined due to post-viral syndrome for a couple of years, it just seems that she understands that, you know, health and happiness is a major priority in her life. She seems to be in a great place at the moment. Her and her wife Lily renovating their house. They're doing a lot of the work themselves, so she's been super busy. It's actually been pretty fun to track. Bought a classic old house up in Newcastle, and yeah, they're doing beautiful work to it. So we'll see if Tyler can save her place here in this event. Of course, we know that even though Tyler's drifted out to 10th, what's needed from those surfers below the cut line to knock her out of that position is a victory. And that's going to be difficult to do with the calibre of surf. It's already through to the quarterfinals. The GWM 2-minute warning on screen there. There'll be some pressure here for Tyler. You know, she's got to basically find herself an excellent score. She needs something with a clean opening section, because on each of her rides, her first turns have just not measured up with what Tatiana's been able to throw down.
She may get that opportunity right now. This one just slides underneath our competitors. I was going to say, Ron, that you were talking about those scenarios that are quite possible. You know, we've seen, well, we saw Isabella Nichols do it, come from behind for a win. This is a good-looking wave here. Important one for Tyler.
Wants to dig in on this first turn, and does. Floats up over the section, and now needs to finish this wave. It's a tricky one. She's going to hang on to it. And just like that, Tyler Wright has given herself a shot. She really threw everything at it. Tatiana, she'll want to surf this wave well. She needs to better a 6.5 to add to her scoreline. Chipping away at this one. A little bit of flair on the final section, but what a finish to this round of 16 heat. The two-time world champ threw herself into both those turns. Major moves, a lot of risk involved. Will she get the credit for it?
Oh, this is going to be an interesting one to break down. Thinking about Tyler's wave, you know, it was a spectacular wave in that the section she was offered, you know, she really did the most with it, up and through that bit there. You know, an incredible high-risk floater, a snap, and then straight onto this closeout floater. You know, the manoeuvres weren't up and down. The celebrations there at the end. This is a great angle from the water here, just weightlessness as she goes over that first section.
And that's the drama on the end section she's been looking for. It was her best wave yet, perhaps, but just unique, unpredictable. This first section where she goes up and over, she hasn't had anything like that all heat, so she leaves her best wave to last. And she comes down with a lot of speed straight into this next turn. So there's the flow element in a really difficult section. And that's a pretty solid gaffing turn there. And watch her carry straight into this next third turn. Goes up for the lip line, gets a float, gets some air down. I feel like it could be right there. It's a unique wave. It's an ugly looking wave, but she surfed it really, really well.
She put it all on the line on that first turn and got a nice amount of flair out of that move. The bottom turn going into the second, I talked about Tyler's perspective. She's just showing us some perspective on how much this means to her, this heat. That celebration was massive. She needs a 7.8. She needs the best wave of this clash to get herself into the quarterfinals here.
I think it had more drama than the 717 from Touchy.
It definitely had more drama. There's no doubt about it. It had the commitment. As you said, the flow was there. My only question mark, and I'm going to play devil's advocate here, is just the up and down nature or the vertical nature of the turns. You know, she dealt with the wave as best she could. Let's have a look at Tati's last wave here. So another clean face, a good wrap, some tail release there on that carve, up and through the lip, and then over the foam section. So, well, that was her 7.17. Yeah. So they're going to have to compare this ride. It's going to have to be half a point at least better than that wave.
And that board, you know, oh, wow.
Here it comes. A couple of judges are saying, yeah, one's going no. There's still a couple of more numbers to drop here. Don't forget that Tatiana's got another number on the way as well. The score has dropped, and it is the score that she needs, 7.83. Tyler jumps up. Tatiana Weston-Webb, her last wave, a 5.43. Not enough to swing it back in her favour. And Tyler Wright is going to survive. And Tatiana Weston-Webb, well, she's going to have to watch the rest of this event play out to see if she's going to keep her place on the CT. What a comeback from Tyler. It was all going the Brazilians' way. But the two-time world champion and a never-say-die attitude, super impressive there.
Well, that is just an incredible comeback from the world champion, Tyler Wright. And you know, that just speaks to never giving up until that siren goes.
You know, that risk on that last manoeuvre, and that's a brand new board. She had it shipped over from the East Coast 2 days ago, anticipating these conditions, preparing really well for this event right now, and for that clutch manoeuvre in that final minute. I mean, that's why we tune into surfing, right? It's so unpredictable. Mother Nature, you know, is the star, and these surfers are just trying to channel their best energy to tap into that.
Amazing stuff. Tyler Wright survives. What a performance. And look how stoked she is. We're going to take a quick break. Joe and Felicity will step in for the call next. The Western Australia Margaret River Pro is brought to you by Cooper's Brewery, the official beer of WSL Australia. By GWM, official automotive partner of WSL Australia. By Bond University, not for profit and not to conform. Bond University exists for you. And by Hydrolite, official oral hydration partner of WSL Australia.
Good afternoon, everybody. What a heat we just had come to a close. Two-time world champ, past event winner. Tyler Wright just took out Tatiana Weston-Webb. Right on the last exchange, it looked like Tati's day, but Tyler moves on to the quarterfinals. Well, she'll take on world number 1, Katie Simmers, and she's moving up the live rankings as we speak. Flick, you just had a look. Where's Tyler sitting now?
Tyler has literally just jumped up 2 places on the rankings. She's in number 8, so that was such an important heat for her. Lakey, unfortunately, has gone back down to 10, so it's so cool to check in with those live rankings. And, you know, heat by heat, it's continually being updated. And although, you know, you could almost say, you know, things are looking good-ish for Lakey, because the people that are below the cart that are still in the event, they've got one big job ahead of them. They've basically got to win the event. But we've seen it happen before, so it's just so exciting.
It's just the feeling that you'd have if you're Lakey, though. You're just out of the event wondering what's going to happen. Same with Tatiana Weston-Webb, as she could have clinched her spot for the rest of the year with a win there, and it looked like she was heading that direction. 13.7 combined total to 13.67.
Wow.
0.03 in the difference in that last heat of the round of 16. How about this one? Reigning world champ Caroline Marks taking on one of the best ever, three-time runner-up in the world, Sally Fitzgibbons.
Yeah, this is going to be an absolute cracker, and real contrast, obviously, in approaches. Caroline goofy footer and Sally being regular on the backhand. And prior to that last heat, I was also wondering, you know, where the judges were going to go with someone on their forehand out here. So it was really cool for me to see Tati in the last heat, just to see where the judges were scoring and what they'd be scoring. Someone on their forehand on the left here, but I just feel like Sally's got some really good momentum. I just think back to her last heat where she dropped that excellent number just for that one big turn. That was on her forehand, but I mean, I just listened to her post-heat interview after that, and she just felt, you know, things are finally clicking. She'd been working on turns like that, working on her boards a lot, and yeah, she was obviously all smiles, and she's got a big job ahead of her, but momentum, I think, is on her side right now.
Really is. Sally Fitzgibbons, it's one of those athletes where, like, where do you begin? You know, especially as legends did step away this year, from Carissa Moore to Steph Gilmore. You're looking at the longevity of the career of Sally Fitz that came with 12 event wins, including one here at main break Margaret River.
Yeah, she's had an incredible career, Sally has. It'd probably be a funny feeling for her right now, you know, obviously just having a little look around, but yeah, she's just such a decorated surfer. Obviously, you said runner-up in the world 3 times, obviously in that same sort of era as Steph, Courtney Conalog, you know, Tyler Wright, Carissa Moore, but she's had a lot of experience out here. She's someone similar to Tyler, who was coming here ever since, you know, we'll get back to that point in a second, Sally up and riding.
Nice quick backhand approach. She could get real quick in between turns, kind of like that. Move like a butterfly, sting like a bee. She can really get going down the line, especially in backhand transitions.
For sure. I feel like these small little lefts right now, in my opinion, are almost, it's easier to get a lot of work done on your backhand. You can coil up really fast. You can get really tight in the pocket. It's sort of like a wedgier wave today. And I mean, just on paper, maybe you'd say a backhand has a slight advantage out here just because they are able to get so critical in the pocket. And Sally, I'm a massive fan of her backhand attack. I feel like it's definitely one of her strengths. So, but you know, then I just cast my eyes to Caroline. Obviously, current world champ, so young, still 22 years old. But it's incredible to say she already has a world title. Just absolutely amazing.
What a year she had last year, as we'll break this one down a bit further with Caroline versus Sally, but a 2-time world champ. Just had a huge comeback against Tati. Tyler Wright is with Stace.
Thanks, Joe. That's right. Tyler, what felt better, getting the score on the buzzer there or tying your first FG knot and landing a big salmon out the front?
That's a funny question. Honestly, they're probably the same at the moment. I think my FG knot I was pretty impressed with. It was my first time ever to do one, and I nailed it. But let's be honest, that last wave, 0.03 to get the win there, and that's critical for me. Like, I'm on the cut, so yeah, like, I was ecstatic with that. I haven't felt these kind of feelings since I've like ran for it. Like I feel like the old system to win a world title, like every heat mattered. So every heat you felt like the world was on that. And I haven't felt that in years. And like the last few days, it's felt like that. Like every heat matters for me right now. And no, look, honestly, all thanks to the ocean on that one. Realistically, like I was just asking her, I was like, hey, I'm gonna need your help here. Like, yeah, I need a score, and I love my job and I love doing this. Like, yeah. So yeah, like a lot of time spent in the ocean. So massive thanks to the ocean for producing that one for me.
We'll get the calculators out and we'll figure that out as the event rolls on. But you're a multiple world champ, Olympian. yet you are facing that potential of being cut off the tour. How do you readjust, or is there a change in your process, or is it just business as usual?
No, look, like I'm pretty realistic. Like I'm fighting for my job right now, and I love my job. Like and it's hard too because like over the last few years it's been I've had a lot of things that I've had to go through to kind of get back to this place, and I feel like this is the first year that I'm actually really enjoying it, and so it's different. Like as you get older, things change and different, but yeah, I don't know. Like it's one of those ones where you can't kind of lose your trust in yourself, and I feel like I've performed really good since Portugal. I think I really struggled through Hawaii with the concussion, and then Portugal, I was like, oh, yep, there it is. I find my feet again. Bells, I was a little bit, like, I was really happy with my performance in the heat that I lost, so I kind of walked away not really knowing, and every heat matters. So there was a difference of opinion there, but that's subjective. You know, this sport is so subjective, so I kind of just took in what from there, and it was one of these, come in here, it was like, hey, like, every heat matters. You're going to have to produce, it doesn't matter. So, yeah, you kind of just, it is what it is. It's a new system, so.
So far, so good. Congratulations. We'll see you in the quarterfinals.
Thank you, Stace. Loved that opening question. Tyler did too. She really enjoyed it. Catching a fish, learning some new knots. She showed me one of them the other day. First thing she said, she's like, I think my brother would be proud, talking about Mikey Wright. Mikey really picked up fishing when he was on tour. It was really common to run into Mikey. Casted a line out in between heats. He really found a lot of joy in it. He absolutely loves the silence, the peace of being in nature like that. Now Tyler's picking it up, and it's putting her into some good rhythm out here in the West. Big heat win for her as we catch up to the goofy foot attack of the reigning world champ. Already quickly putting up a 5.17 flick.
Yeah, I liked it already. I started off with sort of an opening carve, but I think a majority of the points just coming from that real last critical maneuver. She was really able to ditch the fins there. And yeah, 5.17, I'd say most of those points are coming from that last turn. I mean, look out if she gets, you know, a bit more of a bowly section on that first bit opening part of the wave. But yeah, positive things to come already from Caroline.
So just like every heat, there's something big on the line here. And this one's focused on the pressure of Sally Fitzgibbons, qualifying for the tour and having a stellar rookie season back in 2009. We mentioned those 3 years where she was runner-up in the world. That was 3 straight. So that was runner-up to Steph Gilmore, a couple times runner-up to Carissa once as well. 4 times finishing 3rd in the world. So many incredible seasons for her, but finds herself in this situation of she can't lose. When you look at her track record at Margaret River, she's been stellar. You know, you look back over the last decade, you know, she's made about 8 quarterfinals, you know, out of 11 with that win that she had in 2017. That win helped her finish 3rd in the world that year.
Yeah, I just go back. I mean, Sally has put so much time in here at Margaret River over the years. I mean, I even think back to, you know, Grom days, as we had an Australian titles here one year. I know that I think Tyler actually won an Australian title here. So, you know, these Australian women on tour have been coming here for a long time, and you know, it's not her first rodeo. She's got so much experience. She was here as well when it was a qualifying series event, and she's just so consistent. I mean, some of those stats that you said, you know, 3rd in the world 3 times, 2nd in the world 3 times, and then I think there's that incredible stat that you pulled out the other day where there was a run where she didn't miss a quarter, or quarters onwards or better for how many events?
It was around 45-ish, plus or minus 1 or 2.
Seriously.
It was unbelievable. So when you're making quarters every event, that's how she started off her career, finishing the top 5 in the world, right behind Coco Ho, which just shows longevity. There's some big names she got to surf with. Their first year on tour, it was like Steph winning a title, Silvana Lima runner-up, the great world champ from Peru, Sofia Milanovic. Coco Ho was a rookie that season.
Wow.
You also go to Melanie Bartels. Gosh, one of our favorites to watch.
Love Mel
from the island of Oahu. How cool were her heats?
Oh, so cool. And just her style in and out of the water, and sort of one of the first women to really go to the air alongside someone who's from around these regions, Claire Bevilacqua as well. But yeah, I just love that sort of aggressive approach and that more progressive approach from Mel and Claire.
Also, Chelsea Hedges was on tour, Paige Hara, Beck Woods, Rosie Hodge finished 10th in the world that season. Some incredible names. It just speaks to the legacy of Sal. Still here competing, never showing signs of slowing down. Now in a serious pressure situation, needing to win against Caroline, and they've had some heats together in the past. When you go back to their history, it was all about the Aussie veteran kind of dominating. Actually took 3 straight wins over the young Caroline. Caroline got back in with a couple of victories. At one actually here in Margaret River. When to just focus on this event, it's actually one apiece in the last couple of years. But so far, Sal's still on top 4-2, heading into their 7th matchup on the championship tour.
Wow, it's so interesting, you know, just the longevity of Sally's career and how long she's been on tour, and just how she's been able to keep herself still so relevant and reinvent herself. And I think it's just a testament to the person she is and the athlete she is. She really is an athlete. You know, she is probably one of the first women, I think, you know, on the tour to really take her strength and conditioning seriously. I mean, we know from a young age that Sally's been an incredible athlete across many disciplines, soccer, running, athletics, and she kind of, you know, had to sit down and be like, I think with her dad and say, you know, what sport do you really want to do here? And she chose surfing, and we're really grateful that she did, because she's given us some great memories and experiences over the years. But it just, you know, she's a natural born athlete, and just got that athlete instinct, and I think that is why she has been able to give us so much longevity on tour.
It seems like a lot of athletes kind of have that story because they're just so good. Obviously understanding their body, their mechanics. They're so talented in a lot of different fields. For Sally, it was obviously an incredible runner. Represented Australia in the Junior Olympic Games growing up. Loves her footy, loves watching NBA basketball, stays up all night sometimes watching her favorite athletes compete, and finds so much inspiration to draw into her game in pro surfing. But Caroline also started off actually not in the water as much. She was riding horses and competing. And that was kind of her first love competitively. Then jumped in the water across the street with her brothers, and she always tells the story of her brothers didn't let her just surf casually. They made her earn it. And she said she'd come in crying sometimes. And then now, as a world champion, she's thanking them for pushing her with that, you know, brotherly love.
Yeah, it's always funny, those sort of stories, and you hear that a lot from a lot of different athletes across different sports. But, you know, those moments when you're a kid, and they're those make or break moments. Maybe if you had, you know, parents that pushed you really hard, or brothers that pushed you really hard to the point of crying, and to the point where you were like, I don't know if I want to do this. But, you know, looking back and reflecting, you realize that they are those moments that really made you into the athlete that you are, and shaped you into the person that you are, and you know, but just a testament to probably the character, you know, you can put it down to a bit of character building. But I really believe that, you know, growing up in a household with lots of siblings, is definitely an advantage to being a strong competitor.
Yeah, we've had that theme a few times, haven't we?
Yeah.
Especially on the top stage here on the championship tour. We've got absolute battle starting. Not a lot of waves ridden, but a ton of energy on the takeoff spot. Still 17:50 on the clock. Sally Fitzgibbons still in a must-win situation to keep her spot on tour. Bonsoy brew break time. We'll be right back. The World Surf League teamed up on a coastal restoration project with Nature Conservation Margaret River region and their Youth Marine Steward program to work together in healing the landscape to prevent erosion and to really learn more about this incredible ocean ecosystem. We planted local native coastal plants in Lade Bush. We always want to hear from you on how you are protecting the ocean. Post on social media and use the hashtag WSL1Ocean. We're all in this together, you guys. Our favorite playground in the world, we're staring at it right in front of us. This one, the Indian Ocean, which gives you some good feels. There's this talk with locals like Felicity Palmatier. It's if you do travel, if you do leave, the Indian Ocean is always going to bring you back home. Is there truth to that?
Oh, 100%. I feel this might sound a bit woo-woo, but I honestly feel that, you know, it just has a different feel to the water here, to the Pacific Ocean, to the Southern Ocean. It just feels, and we always talk about Western Australia being a bit raw, a bit rugged and a bit wild. I genuinely feel when I touch the water that you can feel that energy. Obviously it produces big, powerful surf, but there's just something about it. Maybe it's just I've spent a lot of time in the water, or maybe a little bit too much time in the salt water, but yeah, I just feel like it's special, and you feel that as soon as you enter the water here. Sounds woo-woo. It's true.
I like it. I love a bit of woo-woo from you, Vic. Yeah, it's an emotional feeling sometimes when you talk about your relationship with the ocean and what it does for you. Betty Lou feels it. A lot of high fives for the fans here as world number 5 heads to the steps. Oh, yeah, already learning the shaka. I love that.
Very good.
That made me feel good.
Start them young.
Start them young.
Oh, kids these days are surfing so young. I mean, basically straight out of the womb and straight onto a surfboard.
It feels like it, doesn't it?
It's crazy.
Younger and younger.
Every day on social media, I'll just be bombarded with some clip of some young grommy absolutely shredding. Look, about 4 years old. They probably only just started walking and they're surfing.
And then it's even crazy waves like big main break. They're out there so early. Teahupo and Tahiti, there's these young women that are out there barely 10 years old.
It's crazy.
13:40 on the clock. Speaking of youth, Caroline Marks got a call from the commissioner's office when she was 13 and accepted a wild card in a championship tour event. As she's up now, this time a reigning world champ. Throwing some water on that first wrap. Chucks another carve into the pocket and steps off. Being coached by Luke Egan once again this year as they're looking to go back-to-back with the world title. Her first wave of 5.17, so now a second scoring ride. Very selective, sat right next to Sal for a long time before making a move there. Fitzgibbons, though, left alone and decides to hold her position.
This heat's been a bit slow. That last heat, Caroline having a look. But this heat has been a bit slow compared to the last one. It seems like the last one there was a lot of waves being ridden. It was the ocean was pulsing, and kind of looks like we're about to see a couple of sets roll through. I kind of understand why Caroline took that wave. There hadn't been something come through for so long. She wants to get it back up, but the one she took off on, yeah, it was a bit of a set and it was bigger, but it had that tapered wall, so it didn't offer that real steep section or that closeout section.
Speaking of conditions, let's get an update with the Oakberry surf conditions with Kaipo.
Yeah, Joe, just give you an update here from the lineup. We started off, right, at the beginning of this competition day. Actually, I'm going to let you call Caroline's wave right now.
All right, Kaipo, we'll transition back in a sec. There's a nice, cool connection. Nice little snap hack in the whitewater. That was cool looking. But let's get more of that Oakberry surf condition report, Kipes.
Yeah, so when we first got out here, the wind was north-northwest. And then we kind of went through like a no-wind phase. And then now the wind 9 miles per hour out of the southwest, about 3 to 4 foot faces out here. But it is easing off the wind right now. So definitely contestable. I think the most unattractive wave that came through was the one for Tyler Wright at the end of that heat. And that just shows you the talent of someone like Tyler Wright to get the score on that wave with a lot of speed bumps in it. So it's still just kind of surfing through the speed bumps right now. It has calmed down. Tide rising, so the surfers may have to change position as well and move a little bit further in on the reef.
Good man, Kaipo. This one very interesting. As you know, a lot on the line for Sally in a must-win situation. Not a ton of waves ridden. What's the energy been like on the takeoff spot?
Yeah, it's been quiet out there on the takeoff spot. Right now, though, we do have a set coming through. Sally Fitzgibbons, Joe, scratching into this one.
Thanks, Kaipo. Important ride for the Australian. 15 years on the CT. She finds a closeout section looking smooth, styles her way out of the finish. She only had a couple of twos before that, but yeah, this is the set that Kaipo saw coming through. Bit more size on this one. Caroline trying to get out to meet this wave, and she will spin for it. The reigning world champ starting to drive down the line, lays into that oncoming section, and she'll step off right in front of Sal.
Yes, big single turn there, but kind of smart. I feel like she's just obviously stepped off in front of Sally. She's going to try and get out the back before her and get priority, but yeah, a little bit more motion in the ocean, which is good to see. And yeah, I'm looking forward to breaking down a couple of those replays from that last wave, and I wanted to see if Caroline actually got one turn before we cut to her. But here we go. Let's break down this one from Sally. So I had to go for a little bit more of a horizontal approach, but gets it up into the lip for that closeout turn. That was looking better. This was Caroline. This is her single big turn, big hack out the back. Jumps off just in front of Sally. You can just see this wave just only offered the one section, but it was a really critical turn. It's always hard when there's two bits of converging water. You just want to make sure you really ride out in front of that. And yeah, smart decision to get that priority.
Sometimes you look at a quick step off when two sections are converging where it could take you out of your control. You have to be smart about showing the judges you rode out, and also thinking about priority. It was probably the main point there for Caroline to get under that wall before Sal, regain priority, which she has done now with 9 minutes to go.
Yeah, and her second to last wave's come through at a 6, so she's improved on her situation. That's the highest wave of the heat so far. We haven't had that last single turn lock in just yet. So I think it was a really smart decision by Caroline, and I mean, she's out the back now, she's regained priority, and this clock is ticking down really fast.
They're taking their time with a single maneuver that Caroline just laid down. Sally's last 5.6 on the two-turn combo, and here she goes again in a must-win situation to keep her spot on the championship tour. Nothing happening yet, and she's got to get out of there.
Yeah, that wave too, just looking so tapered. You could kind of see it. It had that big A-frame TP sort of look to it when Sally took off, and had quite a bit of lump and bump in the face. One good thing Kaipo mentioned, you know, the wind has swung around to the southwest now. It was coming out of the north before, and the north, I mean, south side sort of handles that, but it is blowing straight up the face of these lefts. So now that it's swung a little bit around to the south, we're going to probably see a few cleaner face waves. However, this one right here, this is Sally's last. You could see it just had that tapered wall. Wasn't that much opportunity there.
And down to 7:45 on the clock here, and a heavy heat for Sally, a big heat for Australia. Long-time legend of the tour. Wasn't afraid to face the Challenger Series after getting knocked off at this point of her career.
Whoa.
And obviously got right back into position.
So that last wave of Caroline came through at a 1, which means they're deeming that she didn't ride out of that turn.
I was wondering how that quick step off was going to work, and I think they called her on it.
Yeah, well, they took their time to deliberate that score.
That's an interesting one, but she was able to get first priority. We'll see if that move pays off. Caroline throws down a top turn, and she's out of there. Priority to Sal.
Oofed. Oofed. I wonder what Caroline thinks about that, you know? I mean, she obviously will just break this one down. She takes off. Oh, this is the wave that we're talking about right here. Jumps off, and judges deeming that that wasn't a make without control. So you can see here those two bits of white water just converging. She decides to eject on out of there to get priority, and judges say no.
Yeah, you can't get away with much these days. They send that out in the judges' notes. You've got to ride away with control. So she tried to get away with that one, and they called her on it. A couple of turns there for Fitzgibbons, and more waves out the back for Caralupo. Marks the first turn, throwing some water. Another wrap, still looking for a big section to hit, but she's got her flow, and Her blades just knifing through the open face here, even in the gutless parts of the wave. So it looks like she's riding a bit of magic from Matt Biolis, and now the paddle battle. Looks like Sally's got a bit of a jump to gain priority with 6 on the clock. And a couple of crucial scores locking in. Fitzgibbons with 12 CT wins. She's with some great company on the all-time win list. Thinking about her legacy, the great Margot Oberg, a world champion, also had 12 championship tour wins. They're tied. If Sal could win this event, she'd move to 13 and be hanging out with Jodie Cooper and Courtney Conlogue.
Yeah, wow. Courtney Conlogue, we miss you.
Especially, well, all over, but especially in the West,
Yep.
especially when main break was pumping. She was one of the surfers that had an instant connection with this place. As Betty Lou looks psyched and happy about her matchup with Sawyer Lindblad coming up next.
Oof, this is another good matchup coming up, and obviously Sawyer's in that position where she needs to keep advancing through heats here. Betty obviously in amazing form this year, and there you go, Sawyer on screen right now. But yeah, this is a big heat for Sawyer coming up, and I feel like she had really good form at Bells. She obviously had her best results so far. She looked really good. She had a really tough match up against Molly Picklum. She got the win over Molly. We'll get back to that as we see Sal.
Sal using priority, needs a 5.58 for a lead change. Big section, connects well and rides away. Had a smaller version of that similar type of finishing move and got a 5.6. She needs a 5.58.
Oof, it was one big section, right? I feel like that first turn was a bit of a setup turn, but that last section, it was quite big, you know, in terms of today's scale of waves, and it was a meaty section. She did put it all on the line. She kind of identified that, hey, okay, let's break it down now. Takes off and cuts this little turn short. She's just setting up for this inside here and really timed that so well. So this was a good read, you know. This is a really difficult section. It can really be really easy to go too high there, but she identified that and just, that was super critical. Wow. I mean, the more you appreciate it a lot more, I think, that in the super slow-mo as well, like you're really able to see just how difficult that was. And I mean, just how you could just see how much she just had to compress, put that chest over her front foot, really just to cement in the judge's mind that she did make that one.
Exactly, 325 scores coming in now for Sally Fitzgibbons. Chasing a 5.58, numbers locking in for Caroline Marks on her last, a 5.57 with a series of those frontside wraps. So she improved on her lead a touch there. So then Fitzgibbons now needs a 5.98 on her last wave.
Oof.
Wave before for Sal, a 5.5, keeping a 5.6. So she's been all over that similar range, that mid-range out of the judges' scale.
I feel like it's going to be right there. I really do. It's touch and go.
So Sally Fitzgibbons in a must-win situation. Rookie back in 2009. So many top 5 finishes. 3-time runner-up in the world. Represented Australia in the Olympic Games in Tokyo 2020. And now numbers starting to lock in. Scores coming through for Sally Fitzgibbons, a 7.5. A crucial lead change. Caroline to second. Marks needing a 7.11 to move on.
Whoa, judges really rewarding that last turn from Sally. It was really critical. So really good job. That was such an important wave for her. She's jumped up into the lead now, and she's got the current world champ on the ropes with less than 2 minutes on the clock. Good thing for Caroline right now is that she does have priority, but just needs the ocean to cooperate with her. But that's a big score. Oh. All those points basically came from that last turn. So
and just the knowledge that she has of identifying what the judges are really going to love. You know, it's not these long waves where you're getting about 5-6 soft turns on. You want a closeout section, and she got it.
Yeah, she did. She went straight up into the lip there. You could just see how critical that was. Almost was like a lip. It was like almost like she went up to hit it, and then it ended up being like a lip line floater as well. I mean, that first turn now, even when we break it down on the slow-mo, I guess a few points have definitely come from there, but this is where majority of those points are coming from. Almost upside down, really, on that landing.
Pretty rad.
Oh, it was radical.
Hit it hard, had control, super smooth. She started kind of bringing in those kind of style hands about a handful of years back. She actually started training with style, with weights and everything, just to kind of keep everything looking cool. But that was clutch. As we know, Sally's got a long way to go to put herself inside the top 10. But a win here would be a step in the right direction. Caroline's got some time, though. 35 seconds, and she's up. Needs a 7.11. Setup work to kick things off for the Floridian. Another little chip, nothing major, and she's not going to find it there.
Oof, big heat for Sally. Big moment. Keeping the dream alive.
And she might be going 5-2 all-time against Caroline Marks in one-on-one heats. Massive performance under pressure, knowing that she was on the Challenger Series last year. An absolute warrior, and an Australian legend gets another step closer in the right direction. She's obviously thinking, okay, I gotta win this event to have any kind of chance of surfing the whole year. Job well done to Sal. She's in the quarterfinals.
Wow, this is such a big moment for Sally, and I'm looking forward to hearing this post-heat interview. I think she's going to be pretty happy about it. It's going to be a lot of smiles from Sal.
Big one there for Caroline as well, as she's thinking about another world title this year. Going down early in the round of 16 doesn't feel good for those final 5 names on the top 17. Best result for Sally Fitzgibbons this season in the making as she's back in the quarterfinals. Betty Lou Sakura Johnson takes on Sawyer Lindblad in heat number 8 of the round of 16, and we're going to bring in a local hero coming up next.
Just went back up.
Round of 16 continues here. Betty Lou Sakura Johnson taking on Sawyer Lindblad for a shot into the quarterfinals. Lindblad in a must-win situation as Betty Lou belts that first section, carves it out in front of the open face, hits it off the lip again. What a start for Sakura. One more hack there and a wave that kept on giving. And we talked about these long lined up waves that haven't been getting great scores. This one though had a nice pocket on it and a great lip to hit. That was really fun to watch. More waves on the way. Rookie from San Clemente, Sawyer Lindblad, can't afford to lose if she wants to surf a complete season in a rookie year. Hitting that first section. Took off late to create a moment for herself. I love that thought process there. Now she's wrapping in the pocket. There's the lip again. How about that fan of spray? Great timing. Great start to this heat. Sawyer versus Betty Lou. Joe Turpel with a couple WA standouts here Everyone knows Flick. But remember Mia McCarthy, she won the trials. Mia, when was this? A couple years back now?
Yeah, I've won it twice.
You won it twice, that's right.
2022 and I think maybe 2019 or something like that.
Wow.
Yeah.
Awesome. And you're doing the beach announcing of this event.
Yeah, I got the call up to do some beach comms from Mark Clift. He recognised that I really love having a chat and I love surfing, so we kind of combined the two, and here I am.
You know what's really cool about the beach announcing at Margaret River? You would have been on both sides of this, but you guys obviously give the scores out to the competitors, but when the surfers come up the steps, I mean, we hear from them on the live broadcast, but all the locals in the grass, they get a live interview as well. That is the coolest thing I've seen on tour.
Yeah, I think this is, they said, the only place that happens on the tour that they get to do that on the boardwalk kind of chat, and that's really special. I think I was pretty nervous at the start doing it because there's so many fans there looking at us, but the surfers are so nice. They're really good at having a chat. They pretty much ask the questions for me, and I like to throw in a couple of fun ones there. I think I got to ask Breezer about her cooking and all that kind of stuff, so yeah.
I love that. It's totally different now when you're out there. There's all these people, you actually see their face like on a presentation. In the booth, we could pretend we're in our living room talking about surfing. Betty Lou versus Sawyer Lindblad. Let's check out the replay because this opening exchange was insane. Betty Lou Sakura Johnson, Sawyer Lindblad on the wave behind it, Flick. What'd you see in the backhand here?
Oh, I just got super excited. I sat a bit more straight up in my chair. Betty Lou just getting started with a series of backhand maneuvers here. This wave, exactly what you said, Joe, just the gift that kept on giving, just turn after turn, and just super critical there on that first section. Hard section to hit, comes down from that one, flies around the section and carves back here. But this score comes through, 7.67, opening score, opening wave of the heat. Super impressive, beautiful way to start, but out the back behind her, Sawyer Lindblad got some serious work done too.
I love a great start to a heat like this, but look how she created space. She had a lip and a good steep section to work with and multiple turns. Close to excellent for Sakura. And then Sawyer got this one, Mia.
Wow, I really love that first turn. That section came at her really fast and she handled it really well. Just connecting the dots through the inside here and throwing a lot of spray on that last turn. The wave kind of ran out of room and she still got a lot done. Let's have a look at this first section. Cracks it. That wasn't easy to ride out of, Joe.
Whew, big section. She drilled it. 6.67, so a point in the difference between Betty Lou's start, Flick.
Yeah, point in the difference, and I think it comes down to the connectivity and the flow between the turns. I mean, Sawyer had some great moments. Obviously, that first turn, she was very late to that first section, like almost borderline, looked a little bit out of control, but she pulled it. But we'll get back to that in a second. Sawyer looks like she's taking off out the back.
Sawyer loves the lowers left in San Clemente, California. Surfs out there all the time with her brother Taj Lindblad, an incredible surfer as well. That's going to be fighting through the North American region. But a great start to this one. Story always for every heat we've had something on the line. It's Sawyer on the hot seat, needing to win to complete a rookie season on tour. Betty Lou's the one with priority. She's going to let it go. Sawyer does too. Southside, big change in the event, moving to this location. Mia, is it a spot that you surf often, or are you kind of more surfing main break when you come to Surfers Point? More on that in a moment. We got to ride her up. Betty Lou throwing down the wrap. Lip section there, crushes it, and she is looking for control. She will have control for a moment there. Are you giving her the completion, Mia?
Yeah, I would be giving it to her.
That's nice of you, Flick.
Well, judging off what happened in that last heat with Caroline, I'm a bit suspect on that in my course, because I was almost swayed towards the fact that Caroline did ride out of that. So anyway, obviously I'm not seeing the whole thing. Out the back, Sawyer.
Setting up that forehand carve. There's the slice in the pocket. Nice vertical to square it up, to throw down some variety. Hacks it again right in front of Betty Lou, and we're off and running. What a battle we have. Two of the younger names on tour. Now the paddle battle starts for priority. Betty Lou might have the edge at the moment. But me and McCarthy, we don't get to catch up too often, just when I see in WA. How have you been enjoying the tour this year?
Yeah, I think it's been awesome having the tour here this year, being a part of the beach comms. I know it's only a little job, but it's been pretty fun for me. We've got the replay here, Joe. Do we want to talk through this one?
Yeah, continue on. What'd you see?
Yeah, well, 2 pretty clean hits there from Betty. Good determination to ride out of that last turn.
And then Sawyer's wave here, Mia.
Yeah, Sawyer, she looked really strong on this one. She looks like she means business. I love seeing her go left. That was an awesome vertical approach on that one. And I love that she finished right in front of Betty there. Nice and competitive, the girls.
Oh, I just love seeing her on her forehand. Just like you said, Mia, we haven't seen much of Sawyer. I mean, you go on social media, you see her clips that she posts on her forehand, but the tour is pretty, first part of the year stacked with a lot of Wrights, and I haven't seen much of this, so this is really cool. Obviously, with this change over to Southsides, we're getting to see Sawyer's forehand approach, and
she went so vertical there.
Yeah.
Like, we always talk about that backhand, which for this level of talent, they could do that on demand. But a cool 12 o'clock vertical snap after a carve. Really enjoying Sawyer surfing today.
Yeah, I think it's been really cool just watching all the girls and their approach on going left, because as Flick said, the start of the year is full of Wrights, and watching the girls either on their backhand or forehand, the opposite of whatever they normally do on a right, has been really, really cool.
Yeah, thinking about how often you surf Southside, a lot of people, when I ask them in WA, they're like, yeah, we'll have to pass like 1,000 good waves to get there. So sometimes you can get distracted, but where do you usually end up when it comes to main break versus Southside?
Definitely go out at main break, rarely out at Southsides. I think I was trying to have a think today. When we were Groms, we had a little comp called the Grom Prix, which would run alongside this championship tour event, and that would be kind of like the only real time. It is good though when it's smaller and it's got that nor'east wind. It is known for that. There is quite a few people that chase it, but I'm not really one of those. But I think it was a really smart decision for them to run it at Southsides today. There's just picks up, as I said, picks up a little bit more swell and just a bit more consistent.
And a fun left, like you guys are talking about. In this size of performance left, we have Big Pipeline, we have Tahiti, we have, when Cloud Break's huge, it's kind of a different story, but real rippable left conditions. That's so much value to watch on the championship tour. Betty Lou's last is 6.23, so we're calling that complete.
So that was complete, that one. And but I think a lot of those points just coming from that last turn. She obviously got a little bit of work done before then, but...
Great call, Mia.
Yeah, it was. Good call.
Finished, got control, got credit for the effort. Sawyer needing a 7.14 for the lead. Her last came up just short, a 6.77. So she stays in second, and Betty Lou has priority. Betty Lou working with Ross Williams for a few years now, and saying that confidence with Betty Lou has never been an issue. She believes in herself. She loves a paddle battle. She loves rivalries on tour. They work on just everything else, and they've actually been working on some updates to her technique this past season. But what a moment for Australia's Sally Fitzgibbons, moving on to her best results so far this season. She's with Stace.
Thanks, Joe. Sally, experience paying off. Tyler Wright in the last heat. Now you coming through in the dying moments. How are you feeling?
Yeah, I think I was just trying to stick to my intentions, Stace, and no matter what happened this week, I just want to fight to the end. Just keep fighting and give myself another opportunity, show some more surfing, and it doesn't matter what track you take after this event. It's just I just want to keep bringing more surfing to the table and keep evolving. So if I kind of stick close to that, then brings out those bigger moments, and it just feels so good. You win the battle after a poor start up here, and then get back into it. And yeah, I heard the Tyler one too, so yeah, it was inspiring to hear that.
And if you need a little bit of extra motivation matching up against Caroline in a similar situation to last year, you definitely owed her one.
Oh, that's the hardest part. You have those experiences, the heartbreakers, and it hurts so much and it takes so much to rebuild yourself, everything physically and mentally, and then staring down the same situation, and you walk back into it, and that's the big win, just walking back to it and having the most amount of belief in yourself and trust, and yeah, so I think that was the big win today, staring down the situation that hurt so much last year.
Good on you. You've gone from 15th to 12th on the live ratings. You're heading in the right direction. Did you want to sing out to everyone tuning in?
For sure, everyone back in Giroa and it's followed me for my whole career. It's, we just keep climbing and just keep fighting. So thanks, guys. I feel all your energy.
On your Sal. Thanks, Joe.
Good man, Stace. I just feel so good when you just hear from Sally, her perspective as an athlete, when she's under pressure. It's all class, and it's always been that way with Sal.
For sure, I just love hearing her post-heat interviews because she's always so smiley, she's always so happy, big grin. But I just love, her perspective on that last heat, and obviously drawing a bit of inspiration from Tyler as well, getting the job done in those last, dying seconds of her heat. And I mean, Sally knows she's got a big job ahead of her here, and that's just one step closer. She's now in the quarterfinals. Sally's best result this year so far, but yeah, she's going to need to go a couple more further if she wants to keep this dream alive.
Yeah, I was thinking about all those 12 wins. That 12th win was at Wajima when we went there here in WA. As we look at the last of Betty Lou, getting a little bit stuck on that first section, Mia.
Yeah, it was an awkward little section there, but she got around it, did a bit of work after it, but I don't think it will go into her top 2.
Good call. Yeah, throwaway score for Sakura. Getting herself back on the championship tour last year. Surfed a complete season till she had to step away from Tahiti because of her shoulder injury, had surgery, and worked really hard in the off season. Asked Billy Kemper a lot of questions about his recovery. He's been through so many injuries, but he always comes back stronger, turns it into a strength. So she went straight to Billy and said, how do I get myself beyond 100%? She feels it. Doesn't have to baby that shoulder. She feels really strong. I think she forgets which one it is now, which is great.
Yeah, that is so good, and I guess that's the gift of youth, isn't it? I mean, I hurt my knee these days, and it's like, whoa, I'm feeling that for another 3 years. But no, I've been pumped to see Betty come back after this injury just so strong. The beginning of the year, I mean, she came out of the gates with some vengeance. That first event at Pipeline was, when we've been speaking about it so much, but it was historical. History was made for, women surfing at Pipeline and Backdoor on that finals day. It was incredible, and Betty was one of the names alongside Molly and Katie Simmers, obviously. But I feel like, then she went from Pipe, obviously got the 3rd, and then she went to Sunset and made her first World Tour final. She got the 2nd there. I feel like it's obviously it's time, but she is on the cusp of her first CT victory. I feel like it's just around the corner. She's so hungry. I feel her surfing looks to it like it's improved a lot. She's obviously got a lot of guts too. I mean, we saw it at Backdoor, we saw it at Pipe, and just that one barrel that she got on her backhand is like burnt into my brain. I remember I was calling that heat and I just couldn't believe, how much confidence she had to turn and, put her head down, grab that rail, and the technique was there. It was amazing to watch.
18:55 on the clock here. Betty Lou out front. Sawyer in a must-win situation. Things are happening in real time as far as the cut is concerned. Let's get some big news as we send it to Stace.
Thanks, Joe. Tyler, you mentioned you love your job. Congratulations, you have made the cut. You're keeping your job.
Thank you, I appreciate that. It's stressful, but at the same time, I love those feelings. Like, it feels like, I think I mentioned it before, like, having all these feelings, it kind of feels like you're going in a world title race again. And like, world title races are different now. And like, I experienced that last year. They're kind of not the same as what they used to be, where every heat mattered. If you lost, you were out, you were done. So it was cool. It's kind of like sparked those feelings in me, and I kind of love them. It's so much fun, and they don't last for long. And so it's like, it's uncomfortable. Like, if you lose, it sucks. But at the same time, if you win, it's like, oh, that was heaps fun. So it's one of those opportunities where I'm just super grateful to be in this position, and I do love my job, and I kind of love the program that I've created for myself, and it's been interesting. This is like kind of the happiest and healthiest I've ever done it, and traveling with my wife, getting a new hobby, tying fishing knots and going fishing. It's been trying to find that balance the older you get, and I'm pretty happy.
Stoked to see you happy, stoked to see you ripping, and I think it's ominous signs for your competitors. Thank you, Joe.
Good man, Stace. Congratulations, Tyler Wright. Looking so thrilled with that news that she has successfully made the cut. Crazy that she was in this position because she's been ripping all year, a 2-time world champion. I think our favorite part, she's feeling better than ever, beyond 100%. She said she's sleeping better, she's feeling great. And I think huge results are to come. Also in that news of the midseason cut, Tatiana Weston-Webb officially surviving.
Oh, wow.
And making it through, so that's big news as well for Tati, who actually lost in that heat on the buzzer to Tyler Wright, so she'll be thrilled to get that announcement. And then some big stories in this heat. Sawyer, if she loses to Betty Lou, then Gabby Bryan would officially make the midseason cut. So the Bryan family, her friends, her supporters, herself, her sponsors watching this one closely. Betty Lou so far in the lead. For Sawyer, obviously, though, she wants to go the distance. And we saw Sally Fitzgibbons move up to 12th on the live rankings, getting into the quarterfinals. So we're not done yet.
Oh, it's not over yet. And you know, there's still some big names. Obviously, Sally's still in the draw. India's still in the draw. Sawyer surfing right now. They've got a big job ahead of them. They basically need a win. But, I mean, we've already talked about it a lot, but Isabella Nichols came here with that same goal, basically, and she got the job done. So it is definitely possible.
Here we go. We've got a rider having a look. It's a surfer from the North Shore of Oahu. Quick whip there in the pocket. There's a section, flows through it beautifully. Tagging that section as well, and she'll step off. Smaller wave, didn't have the same type of line that her Magic 767 did. But it looks like she's on a nice board. Got a lot of glide out of it in these smaller lefts. Priority now to Sawyer Lindblad.
Yeah, I think on her board there, Joe, I had a little chat with her on the post-heat on the boardwalk, and she said that her board, she got a batch from Pizell. Some ghosts arrived the day before she got here, and they look like they're going really well for her. This is the replay here. As you said, Joe, a bit of a smaller wave, still some good surfing on offer. Again, I don't know if that will go into her top two, but yeah, the boards are looking good.
Gosh, you could get ghosts around these parts. It's kind of synonymous with the name of Main Break and Margaret River ever since John rewrote the book on how to perform on this venue. Great shops like the Board Store just down the road. You can meet guys like Sam Tuck and not just get Pizells, but basically every surfboard shaper that makes boards for the best in the world you can find right there. 14:35 on the clock. Bonsoy brew break time. Betty Lou out in front. Sawyer chasing a 7.14 to keep her spot on tour.
So this is Luna. Luna just caught one of the biggest waves of the day. How old are you, Luna?
I'm 10 years old.
10 years old and absolutely charging. Hi girls, welcome. This is probably the second Rising Tides for a lot of you. I'm the owner of Queen and Me. This business I started for the next generation like yourselves, and it's to inspire, empower and educate you along your journey to achieve everything you can. There's going to be some of your favourite surfers out there, and I want to encourage you guys to chat with them, ask them questions.
What's your name? Amali. Nice to meet you, Amali. I'm Tyler.
The cards you see behind you, they're called values cards. Your goal is your end goal, right? Some of you might have goals to do with surfing, another sport. Values are the steps you take to get to that end goal.
Did you have fun?
Yeah.
Yeah? Did you get the best wave of your life?
Yeah.
Yeah? Did you almost get a barrel?
Yeah.
Almost, yep.
It's definitely been a dream of mine to get onto the tour. I think it would just be super cool going around surfing all these waves.
The WSL Rising Tides West Oz edition was an absolute success. The next generation is in good hands. They got to meet their heroes. It's one of our favorite parts of the contest on the championship tour, and we're here with local Mia McCarthy. You know a lot of those faces we just saw on screen.
Yeah, I saw a lot of the familiar faces, a lot of girls that I've coached, and yeah, I love seeing that clip. I love what India's doing. She's doing an awesome job inspiring those young girls. A lot of them have chatted to me on the boardwalk and told me about how they loved the Rising Tides event. So yeah, it's doing wonders for these girls here.
Which is kind of cool. I need to get an update on your life these days because we see you in the trials a couple times in the main event. So are you doing a lot of coaching throughout the season?
I'm kind of doing everything at the moment, which is a little overwhelming, but it is a lot of fun. I coach with Surfing WA. We take away a state team each year, and I absolutely love that. Had my own little surfing business as well, but I'm studying full time. I'm trying to become a primary school teacher. So yeah, I've got a year left to study there, and then also loving the beach comms this week, and still surfing a lot myself, and yeah, I'm surfing with my sponsor last week, Billabong. So there's a lot going on. I'm wearing a lot of hats at the moment, but it's fun.
You didn't mention sitting on the couch at all in that. You're pretty busy these days. I love it, Mia, and it's always great to catch up with you, but also I love that you're giving back to that youth. It's a special crew that we got to meet the other day. And they asked you some of the coolest questions, Flick. All those little local kids that were surfing in Rising Tides. They absolutely adore you. They want to be you one day. How cool is that?
Oh, yeah, no, that was such a special event that Micro organised with Quorum Up board riders. Vetti as well did a really good job at pulling that together. And it was really cool. These kids from the area just got to be up close and personal with their favourite surfers. You know, there was Jacob Wilcox, Rio. We had Chippo there, Lakey, and Reef Hazelwood, and they could just ask them any question. Like you said, it could be even what's your favourite ice cream flavour. It doesn't need to be something about surfing. And I just thought, yeah, it's just so special to have those moments because it's a different thing. Obviously, it's really cool to come down here and see these surfers walk up the boardwalk, get autographs, get your posters signed. But it was really cool to have that intimate setting and just. Yeah, a bit more relaxed.
Yeah.
And yeah, you did a great job, Joe, I thought, hosting. It was almost like we were walking into your stand-up at the beginning. Stand-up special. I was, had me in stitches. It was good times.
Oh, that was so fun. I think the young girls were so cool with their questions. Obviously, what's the biggest wave you've ridden? I think one of my favorites to you is how do you get a spot in the lineup? Which was fantastic. And then one girl looked at Lakey and said, tell me your most humiliating moment of your life. Lakey's like, what? Okay, here I go. But it was just such a comfortable space to have access, to your heroes. I know Mia growing up, how that would have been so awesome to be able to ask the people on tour about the in-between heats and how to find a nice, healthy, balanced lifestyle.
Yeah, I think growing up, it's so important to have those good role models. Actually, Felicity was one of mine, so this is actually really special sharing this set with her.
We get a shot for you.
Oh, yeah.
Here we go. Awesome.
But yeah, super special for the girls. Such an awesome initiative there.
As we now kind of focus on the heat again because a big one for Sawyer Lindblad in a must-win situation. Love that she's a goofy foot. Love that she has the belief in her ability. Not many regular foots in her family, I think outside of her brother Taj. Her dad, Mark, longtime competitor, super humble guy. Her uncle surfs as well. She had a funny decision to make. She was doing well in the Challenger Series. She didn't realize she might get called up to events, and the Surf Ranch event was on, and that's in North America. And she gets a call from Jessie. She's finishing a Challenger Series. She had a trip booked to Indo with her family. And she's like leaving the next day going, oh my gosh, I could surf in a CT event. What do I do? And she talked to her uncle or dad. They're like, we're going to Indo.
What? No.
Yeah, and she's like, wait, a CT event? She was just in two minds going, I didn't even know that was like something that could happen in her position because she was doing so well in the Challenger Series. So she said it was hard, but she got on the flight to Indo, got really barreled with her family.
Wow. Well, I don't blame her there. That sounds pretty fun.
As we look at the Epic Live rankings, a lot has happened really in the last few minutes. We just had the congratulations with Tyler Wright as she has made the midseason cut. Tatiana Weston-Webb lost to Tyler, but she just got the news that she's made the cut as well. Now we'll focus on Gabriella Bryan. She can make the cut if Betty Lou wins this heat that we have going on right now. Betty Lou's in the lead now over Sawyer Lindblad. So if that stays the same, Gabby Bryan will get that special message. Sawyer coming from deep though, 14th in the world. India Robinson, Sally made the quarters. She jumped up to 12th. Surfers deep on the rankings are really focused on just hoping that they win the event and things go their way.
Yeah, it's a really, really big job for Sally, Sawyer and India. I liked what I saw from India yesterday in that round of 16 heat from her. She just looked really powerful, really strong. I feel like she has got a good chance on these right-handers. If we go back to main break and we get to surf there, she was looking really good. Obviously, Sally looking really good too, continuing that momentum from that last heat. And yeah, I mean, it's definitely within their wheelhouse, but it is a mighty big job. It's a mighty big job.
So many storylines came out of Pipe, like you mentioned, from Betty Lou and Molly Picklum, semifinal, maybe not just the heat of the year, maybe the heat of the decade for what they produced there, but also Sawyer Lindblad got her first barrel of backdoor. You know how hard it is to get a wave out there and to practice and to warm up, and she came out so thrilled, didn't just celebrate, hammered the end section in super shallow water, as we now see a little wave on the way. Priorities with Betty Lou, and they'll paddle over it. Sakura looking for a spot in the quarters as they reset. And Mia, what was your biggest takeaway from the kickoff of the season in Hawaii this year?
Well, I was just in awe watching everything that went down at Pipe, and yeah, just seeing how the girls took advantage of that really good conditions they got. I think with the girls, they haven't had those classic Pipe conditions, and as soon as they got them, they really took advantage of it, and you could see what they could do, which was awesome. Crossing over to live action, Joe.
There we go. Throwing the whip in the pocket is Sakura, now hitting that end section. She's down, so sitting a while with priority and not converting it into a score in her top two. Lindblad now will have the choice of the sets, chasing a 7.14.
Yeah, unfortunately, Betty obviously falling on that last turn. She just got up there a bit late, but it's put Sawyer in a really good position right now. She needed priority. Kind of looks like she's going to have a look at this one here.
Sawyer not wasting any time. This left kind of stretched out, but she is able to throw down a beautiful carve, closeout section, drills it, celebrates a nice, tidy combination of maneuvers.
Wow.
Clutch surfing there from the rookie.
I really liked that. I really liked it. Two-turn combo, super strong, big carving maneuver, and then a really radical finish. And if I just think back to that last heat and Sally's 7, just obviously different heats, but this was done really well. She pretty much just threw buckets of spray on Betty Lou's head there, and she's pumped. She loves it.
Love the fire, love the passion, Mia. What'd you see here?
I really like in this slow-mo here how hard she dug in that inside rail on this turn. Didn't leave anything to chance. Really, really good. And here, she didn't just hit it. She really put an extra spark about it. I love how the nose faced back to the beach. She put everything into it, and it was a really clean ride down there. So we're waiting for scores, but I feel like it's going to go close.
I enjoyed it. And look at the reaction. She's working with Jake the Snake Patterson.
Jake's enjoying it.
Tommy's sitting down there. Both of them past champions at this event. They love their job. And Snake coaching Sawyer, but you see some California support there. Katie Simmers, world #1, right there with her brother, enjoying this battle. Lindblad, 2 big turns. That frontside carve, you could tell as a goofy how happy she was to be able to lay down that rail and show the world what she's been doing for years at lower trestles.
Wow.
An 8-1-0 and the lead for Sawyer Lindblad.
This is a major moment right now. Obviously, big turning moment in this heat. But I just think back to Betty using her priority on that first wave. Obviously, not improving on her situation, falling on that last turn, and yeah, handing priority over to Sawyer. Sawyer took off on that one out the back and just absolutely went to town. 2-turn combo. Excellent score. Excellent surfing. She's keeping her dream alive, and probably it's so exciting. A minute 30 on the clock now, and yeah, she's out in the lead. Left Betty chasing a 7 now, 7.21.
I'm not sure if you could sit any closer to somebody in the water. They're basically on each other's equipment. That's how tense this moment is for both these athletes. Sawyer in a must-win situation. Betty Lou is just thinking about more momentum in the final 5. 1 minute to go. Betty Lou with priority needs a 7.21. They let that first one go through. Remember, if Sawyer lost, that would have officially had Gabby Bryan make the cut. We might have to hold off on that. If Sawyer can hang on to this lead, even without priority, she's sticking to Betty Lou. You can see their arms almost getting tangled up on a couple of paddles there.
Yeah, well, there's desperation here right now for Sawyer. I mean, she doesn't want to lose this. She's, just gone on tour, first year on tour, and, she wants to keep this dream alive, and she's just posted a massive score. Excellent wave. Right now, it's looking pretty flat, that ocean.
You want to play aggressive when you don't have priority, but be careful at the same time. As long as you don't obstruct the line into a wave when you don't have priority. That's the key thing there. We're already into the countdown. What a comeback from Sawyer Lindblad. When Betty Lou started with a 7.67, 6.23, didn't improve on her total in the last 3 waves, and Sawyer Lindblad will keep her hopes alive, getting an 8.10 when she needed it the most. She's into the quarterfinals, and her coach, Jake the Snake Peterson, is going to be celebrating. They're going to have more work to do in the final series.
Oh, there's definitely more work to do, but she's on the right track right now. She is absolutely going to be stoked. I know Jake will be stoked as well, but what a great person there he is right now. Licking his lips. He's super excited about that last win, but yeah, what a great person to have in your corner. I mean, so much experience, obviously a win out here before, and amazing strategist. So yeah, good job, Sawyer. Good job.
What a dramatic show this afternoon. Finished 3 heats of this round yesterday morning. Things stopped quickly after a series of restarts. Waited for more rippable conditions today. Made the move to Southside. Solid effort from the commissioner's office and the entire crew at this event. It was fun seeing a real rippable left being surfed there and seeing how clutch these athletes can be, even if they're rookies on tour. Lindblad, 8.10 to turn the heat on her last decision, and also enjoying our time with Mia McCarthy. 2 big trials wins. You've been in the main event. Doing great job on the beach announcing, by the way. Let's do this more often, Mia.
Oh, I'd love to come back, Joey.
Yeah, it's an open door policy with you. And obviously, thanks for being a great host in WA. We absolutely love coming to your hometown.
Oh, thank you so much for having me. I loved being in the booth. It wasn't as scary as I thought. I was pretty nervous before I came in, but yeah, that was fun.
There's no one even out there. This is just a living room talking about surfing. It's much scarier on the beach when everyone's staring at you.
I feel like it's much scarier. Yeah, beachcomm's way scarier.
Oh, super
Those
scary.
post-heat interviews.
Yeah, totally. Great job, Mia. Always great to see you.
Thank you so much, guys.
And everyone out there, it's the WSL Post Show coming up next to talk about the big matchups, all the stories on the live rankings, who's made the cut, and much more. Ronnie Blakey's going to take you there. We'll be right back.
Great to have your company for another WSL post show. A short day, but not short on highlights and huge stories as we completed the round of 16 for the women, set up amazing quarterfinal heats. And we also saw the battle between those who've shored up positions on the championship tour already and those heroes who just keep fighting to survive these early rounds and get themselves back in contention and keep just a slim hope of getting that dream result and breaking through into the CT ranks for the back half of the season. Ronnie Blakey, Felicity Parmentier, Matt Jadowski, Flick. The intensity is just, it's right there, even on a beautiful, perfect WA day.
Oh, the intensity is fully here. I mean, it was a beautiful day. It was 30 degrees. We made the change to go over and surf at Southsides, and I feel like that was an amazing decision. There was still lots of consistency there and lots of drama today. A lot of buzzer beater moments, and yeah, it was just really exciting for me to call a few heats.
Yeah, it was, and we had great feedback from the surfers. They seemed to enjoy getting on the left-handers, and it was something different, and they were getting plenty of opportunities. Let's dive into one of the big matchups. Tatiana Weston-Webb, Tyler Wright, so much history between these two competitors, and we knew it was going to be a good heat, Matt.
Yeah, the 2016 winner taking on the 2021 winner, Tyler. She was fired up and ready to go fishing in the lead up to this event. But it was Tachi who started off with a bang and was off to an early start with some searing calves and looked really confident for pretty much the majority of this heat.
Yeah, she was dominating at the start.
Yeah, for me, I watched Tyler at the beginning of this heat, and I was worried for her. She just looked like she had a little bit of the wobbly boot on, and things weren't quite connecting. And Tati was just picking off these really smooth face waves, and I was thinking, okay, wow, Tati's here, she's winning this heat, like she's well and truly got the momentum, she's going through to the next round. But really it all came down to this last wave here from Tyler. This was just super clutch, really well surfed. It was an ugly wave, and that last turn there, hypercritical. Ended up scoring a 7.83 and keeping her dream alive and making the cut.
Yeah, she put that wave together really well. It was added drama with just the flare. She got it out of that first move, and the way she dropped down out of the zone. Obviously, heartbreak for Tatiana Weston-Webb. Wants to get herself another victory here in the West. But Tyler Wright, you've got to applaud the fight right to the last moment in that heat.
Yeah, it was really, really good to watch. And before this heat, she was number 10th on the rankings, and yeah, she was right there on that bubble on the cart. She didn't even know she wants to keep her job. She mentioned in her post-heat interview, and she, jumped up 2 spots. She shored her spot on for the back half of the tour, and officially made the cut.
Yeah, it was a super interesting one because when we went into that heat, Tatiana on the live rankings was in 7th. Tyler had drifted out to 10th. She was in real danger, the 2-time world champ, of falling off the tour. So she saved herself in a big way. But we know with that result, a lot of positions were kind of confirmed then. And these are the surfers that have made the cut already. And it's a really impressive lineup.
Yeah, it is impressive. Obviously, Tati losing to Tyler, but she's shored up her spot too. She's made the cut. Oh, we got obviously, the amazing surfers here, but the big story for me today is Tati and Tyler.
Yeah, and of course there is still a few surfers fighting to get themselves above that cut line. India Robinson on the top side of the draw, Matt, and then Sawyer and Sally.
Well, yeah,
surf against one another.
You have some veterans and you have some new blood in the likes of Molly Picklum and Caitlin Simmers, but we also have that last heat winner who could very well cause an upset in the next few days.
Oh, man. She surfs so well, but some relieved competitors there on screen. Stace, let's hear from Sawyer. What a performance.
Yeah, thanks, Ron. Sawyer, what a cracking finish to the afternoon. How was it sitting out there with that clock counting down?
Yeah, at first I'm like, oh, there's 22 minutes left. I'll be okay. Like, there'll be another set. And then we were just sitting there, and then all of a sudden there was like 4 minutes left. And I'm like, oh my gosh, please bring a 3-wave set. And yeah, it came.
Indeed it did. I saw you get a great wave in the warm-up out here this morning. Is that something you look for every morning when you're preparing?
Yeah, I usually try and get a free surf before, and I kind of had a feeling that they would run out there. So yeah, I just went out and got a couple fun lefts. Felt like lowers.
That's dangerous for your competitors if you're saying that. It's 1 or 2 in the morning back in San Clemente. Do you reckon the family's up watching, yelling at the TV?
Yeah, I think my mom's awake. My brother might be sleeping, but hi, Mom. I miss you, and I can't wait to see you.
Well done. He's awake now. Thanks, Ron.
Wow, that is one very relieved competitor there, Sawyer Lindblad, did so well. That was a really difficult draw. Betty Lou started with absolute dynamite on that backhand. But, you know, Sawyer's surfing, I think you can't forget where she's from, where she's refined her forehand approach, her trestles, and that just worked right in her favour.
Yeah, I think that was my pickup too from that post-head interview when she started drawing comparisons to lowers and trestles. I was like, uh-oh, this is dangerous. Like if we're having more heats out at Southsides and you're on your forehand, I mean, she's got such a vertical approach as well with that forehand snap. And yeah, I mean, that was a really tough draw too, coming up against, you know, Betty Lou, who's been in form all year.
Yeah, she's been amazing. But you're a big fan of Sawyer surfing, mate.
Yeah.
You've spent a bit of time in California and seen some of her free surfing.
Yeah, I think with the coach of Jake Patterson here as well, just identifying the judging criteria for the day, which does change. It's a heat-by-heat basis and a day-by-day transition. Speed, power and flow are the three pillars of the criteria, but each day with changing conditions, there is that diversity. She adapted really well. She knew she needed either one major maneuver, but she got that really hardcore slice and backed it up with a pretty aggressive turn at the end where she got some air off at the end and it's a bit of drama. The judges ate it up and gave her the excellent score. So I think really well rewarded. And for the rookie, I think that's a really mature moment in her career.
Most definitely. And being able to lean into Snake's experience, who turned around one of the most unbelievable moments coming from behind to beat Bruce Irons at Pipe in 98. You know he will encourage her to continue that kind of fight back, and she could have a pretty good shot at this venue.
Oh, definitely. I mean, he's got so much experience. He's obviously won out here as well. But, I mean, when I think about Jake, I just think he's just so analytical. He's so strategic. And for someone like Sawyer, who is a rookie on tour, he's just got so much information, so much knowledge, and obviously passing that on to Sawyer. And, yeah, she's looking deadly.
She sure is. Let's have a look at the Boost Mobile heat of the day. We could have picked from a couple, but this one belongs to the surfers in heat number 7. Sally Fitzgibbons up against Caroline Marks.
Yeah, this heat here, this was a big heat, and Caroline started off with a couple of nice scores. I think it was a 6 and a 5, and she was looking on fire. Her forehand was looking really spicy. I mean, those turns there, she was looking like she was doing them with ease. Sally had a bit more of a slower beginning here, but, you know, she just came back and just with big belts like that, sort of identifying that she wanted that closeout section just to really have that exclamation mark in the judges' minds. And I mean, this turn here, this was really critical. That was the turning moment in the heat. Sally posted a 7.5 for that score. It was basically in the last couple of minutes of the heat, and obviously Sal all smiles, just keeping that dream alive. She needs a win, basically, to keep the dream alive. It's a big goal, but she's well and truly on her way.
Yeah, real lightness to Sally Fitzgibbons this year, despite the fact she's below that cut line. We've seen her in the same position before, but she just seems ready and just willing to have a real good run at it. She's been impressive so far. Massive victory there over Caroline Marks. Well, as I mentioned, the quarterfinals are taking shape, and Kaipo's been looking closely at those matchups.
That's right, Ron, sitting comfortably on my Bailey ladder. Bailey ladder's leaderboard. Let's take a look at quarterfinal matchups. We're going to have quarterfinal number 1, India Robinson up against Gabrielle Bryan. That's going to be a battle of the two power surfers in that first quarterfinal. Quarterfinal number 2, Molly Picklum coming up against Brisa Hennessy. That's going to be a rematch off of the semifinal at Sunset Year between Molly and Brisa. Then we have quarterfinal number 3, a tale of the new school versus the veteran, Katie Simmers up against Tyler Wright. Finally, quarterfinal number 4, Ron, Sally Fitzgibbons, Sawyer Lindblad, a must-win heat for both of those surfers in quarterfinal number 4 if they're looking to qualify for the back end of the year. That's the update from the Bailey Ladders leaderboard.
Oh, we love it. That last heat is going to be so intense. Two surfers who just proved that even with all the pressure, they're still able to do some great surfing, and they're not struggling with that at all, it seems.
Yeah, automatically my eyes go to that last quarterfinal. I just feel that's going to be super exciting. It's also going to be really heartbreaking because they are keeping their dream alive. They're fighting every day. They're having these clutch moments. They both just had a great heat this afternoon. But there's 3 surfers there. There's India Robinson as well up in the top half, that first quarterfinal. And yeah, it's just so exciting.
And Matt, we've got Caitlin Simmons kind of setting the pace as far as the scores go, just looking every bit the world #1.
Well, if there was any doubt about how Caitlin surfs on her backside, which may have been one of the concerns in that heat previous, she defied the odds because it was an incredible display of really loose, intuitive and creative surfing, the way that she was able to read the wave, adapt to the wave, and just find little speed pockets that, I mean, it's a seldom surfed wave, this left. It's a right-hander. And she went out there and had a ball and relished the opportunity to show her surfing on her backside, which she said in her post-heat interview.
Yeah, and as a result of, a lot of those top seeds progressing, we also saw some surfers relegated to the Challenger Series. And for these competitors, they don't have a lot of time to kind of dwell on the disappointment. They're going to have to recoup, get themselves set for a big run at that second-tier tour.
Yeah, well, there's 3 surfers there. I mean, Luana, Isabella and Sophie have all been in this exact situation before. They've fallen off tour. They've got relegated to the Challenger. They're probably going to be packing up their things. And I'd say they're probably going to be heading over to Snapper pretty soon, getting in the reps over there. I mean, but they fought back. I mean, I look at Isabella. I mean, she's a warrior. She came back on the Challenger Series last year. Alyssa Spence obviously had an amazing time on the Challenger Series last year. So they've spent time there. They know what it's about. And they all deserve to be on tour, so hopefully they get back on there.
Yeah, there's a lot of them too. 3 of them have had victories on the Challenger Series before, so you like their chances of getting back. They immediately, for me, just go to the top of the heap as far as favourites, and there's so much talent, we know that, in the Challenger Series rank. So, yeah, I feel like their spirits will be pretty high once they get there and get eyes on the Superbank.
Yeah, definitely. Superbank, what an amazing first Challenger Series event too. I mean, far out, if I was on the Challenger Series, that is one event I would want to be surfing in. Big, long right-hander, backhand belt after backhand
Kelly's
belt.
Considering taking up a spot in the draw.
But what a good experience for, say, Alyssa Spencer, who's done really well on the regional QS series, all through a Pro Junior career, and then onto the Challengers, and she's been really close to qualifying. But having to surf the calibre of waves this year, Pipe, Sunset, Bells, and Portugal, really hardcore waves. And although we didn't really get the gnarliest conditions we've ever seen here at Margaret River, she'll get a lot out of that. The travel and she'll feel her boards, the connection between these waves. She'll get comfortable and she'll come back stronger if she can re-qualify through the Challenger Series.
Yeah, I really think she's got a great chance. The conditions today, challenging at times, but we still had lots of opportunity for the competitors. Thinking about the Surfline forecast, what are we looking at tomorrow, Felicity? Is it more of the same?
Look, I've had a little sneaky look myself already. In my opinion, I feel like it could be ever so slightly a little bit smaller than today. Obviously, we've got that small, long period west-southwest swell. It's slowly building through Thursday, but peaking on Friday. And I think we're going to come back down, have another look tomorrow morning because it's worthy. Obviously, knowing that we can run at Southsides now. Southside's obviously picking up so much more swell than main break. But good thing is that we've got a larger southwest swell on the way for Sunday. As we look to the next 3 days here, we're looking at main break now and Friday, 4 to 5 foot faces. Similar sort of story in the afternoon, but we've got that onshore wind in the Arvos. But I'm going to cast my eyes to Sunday, 6 to 10 foot faces offshore. That's lining up to be, in my opinion, a pretty good finals day.
Well, it all looks pretty good to me, whether we're running heats or exploring this area. We know we're going to have a really good time, which is important. Let's get stuck into the Biogland Daily Dose in what was a short but certainly a day full of highlights, starting with Brisa Hennessy at number 5, just looking very strong, advancing in style. The backhand looking sharp out here today, Matt.
Yeah, very strong, very solid, committed. That first heat on that left-hander and the first heat at Southside that we've seen televised for quite some time. So well done to Brisa for adapting to the conditions and going out for that heat win.
Coming in at number 4, we saw Sawyer Lindblad really step things up, laying down one of my favourite turns today. And really comboed it up beautifully.
Oh, she did. This wave was amazing. It was excellent surfing, 8.10, and throwing buckets of spray, even onto Betty. Jake, the coach, loves it too. And yeah, she is keeping this dream alive, and she needs a win, and she's on her way.
At number 3, a former winner here, a veteran on the championship tour, needs to keep moving through heats to survive the cut. Sally Fitzgibbons, she has a mean backhand.
Yeah, and you know what? It almost sounds like the backing track to Grinspoons. You want to be a champion because anyone who wants to be the world champion is Sally Fitzgibbons, and she's still holding on hope, and she needs to get through in the next round to have a chance.
Number 2, collecting highlights anytime she puts the jersey on this year, is Caitlin Simmers. The backhand just on fire.
Yeah, the beginning of this heat was actually a little bit sleepy. I was on a break. I went and got myself a Coke Zero, and I came back, looked at the screen. She had a 9.10. I couldn't believe it. She just turned this heat 9.10, backed it up with a 7.33. And I mean, I hadn't seen much of her backhand in competition, but wow, she really blew me away. Just her timing, her pace, just how loose she is with the fins and how fins free. Yeah, she really blew me away. Love seeing the backhand approach.
Yeah, biggest number of the women's event for Katie Simmers. But number 1, this moment belongs to Tyler Wright. She looked right up against it and saved herself with some last-minute heroics.
Yeah, and it was this extravagant finish that got Tyler that score. She's feeling connected with the waves, brand new board. She had it shipped over just 2 days ago for this event, seeing the conditions, doing so well to overcome that heat and in the last few minutes take the win.
Yeah, awesome stuff. And you know what? Tyler is just a competitor this year who's looked to be in such a happy place. Her form's been great. The results haven't reflected, I think, where she's at. Maybe she can change that here in Margaret River.
I think so, and she mentioned it in her post-heat interview, but she thought her form was really good at Bells, and I'd agree with that. I think her boards were looking really good. Just some of the waves that I saw her put together, I think it was just unfortunate that she lost that heat there, and I feel like she's continuing the momentum here, and a healthy Tyler is a scary Tyler, in my opinion.
I think that's a good call. Well, we're going to get down here nice and early tomorrow. 6:45 a.m. we'll be making the call. Possible 7 o'clock start. Enjoy the highlights and we'll see you tomorrow.
This copyrighted event broadcast is produced by the World Surf League for broadcast around the world and may not be retransmitted, reproduced, rebroadcast, or otherwise distributed or used in any form without the written consent of the World Surf League.